It is 10 o'clock in Birmingham, 11 o'clock over here in Atlanta, Georgia. Day 2, SEC Football Media Days. We're live at Digital Drive. Second level. This is not the Taco Terrace that we're normally on. We're at the Football Terrace today.
That's right.
Here in Atlanta, Georgia. Conrad, Landrum, myself, Molly back in the Magic City. Welcome to the program. We're expecting a lot of folks to be coming through here in the next little bit. I'd love to be able to tell you exactly when these folks are going to come by, but we've got a jam-packed show in store. Hugh Freeze is walking around the confines along with other members of the Auburn contingency. This is a big day here, Landrum. We talked about it yesterday, but when you look at the teams that are here, Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas, we heard Kirby Smart a couple minutes ago down in the main room talking to the media. He seemed like he was in a really good mood, cracking jokes about Will Muschamp no longer being a part of his coaching staff. But, yeah, it's going to be a fun day today as we've got a lot to get into, especially with Auburn being here.
Yeah, and Hugh Freeze kicking things off this morning, and I know that he made an appearance here on Jox with Mac and Cube and making his rounds. Conrad actually interacted with him last night as he was out and being social. Yeah, he was talking to the people. But for guys, not only Hugh Freeze, but Josh Heupel, Kirby Smart, and Sark, everybody hoping that they're just a few wins better this year. And I think in Hugh Freeze's case, several wins better this year.
More than a few.
Well, you know, he was speaking last night to a group of Auburn folks, and he basically told everybody, hey, look, we're embracing the expectations of this football team. He said it's not a me thing. We've been able to win everywhere I've been. I believe in my heart you're going to see that Auburn as well. Auburn deserves that. He also went on to say the expectations at Auburn, I knew them coming in. I was aware of them. I embraced it and welcomed it, and I don't feel pressure. So I think that's the general theme, and he says he loves this football team. So I think I love this football team. I embrace the challenge. We have done the right things the last couple of years. We need to start winning football games.
Well, any of the external pressure or internal pressure that he's putting on himself, Hugh Freeze, bottom line is you got to win football games, and a lot of that will take care of itself. And it all starts with a really tough opener in Waco on a Friday night against a Baylor team that many believe, and I know that you were on a show there in Waco, but they feel really good about their team. So this is maybe not the opener that you thought it was going to be if you look down the schedule just a couple of years ago.
I was about to say a lot different than last year when you got that kind of maybe that false sense of confidence against A&M, Alabama A&M. And then we saw what happened when you got into Power 4 play.
Yeah, talking about the show in Waco that I was on yesterday afternoon, it's fascinating because they were talking to me and asking me questions about the teams that were there at the SEC Media Days yesterday, and they brought up Ole Miss, and they did not have the same type of optimism that Evie Van Pelt had on the show yesterday. And we'll talk to Brent Norsworthy, the Southern Gentleman, tomorrow about Ole Miss and what he thinks for the upcoming season. But they believe that the SEC is a little bit top-heavy, and they don't believe that the SEC is going to be as deep as it once was, including last year, because we only got a few teams in the college football playoff as opposed to probably a few more that we should have gotten.
I don't know if I agree with that, because you look at the teams that were maybe just off a little bit. Alabama, we'll start with them. We believe that Alabama is going to be better. How much better? That remains to be seen. I think Auburn will be better. Tennessee's one of those question marks. The keys are like an Ole Miss that you mentioned in a South Carolina, because it's kind of 50-50 on those two teams. But I don't disagree with the Ole Miss fans having faith that it's going to be, potentially another 10-win season. One reason is because of the schedule, but also, yeah, they're returning 4 starters, but how many times have we seen Lane Kiffin replace a lot of starters and do it through the transfer portal?
I was about to say, he is the portal king for a reason, right? And we've seen, I don't think we have any questions about the offense. I think a lot of the questions are on the defense, and they had a lot of guys that ended up going in the NFL draft that they're going to have to replace, but I mean, Lane Kiffin seemed pretty confident yesterday, and he, started off his time at the podium yesterday kind of revisiting, hey, remember all the success that we've had at Ole Miss the last couple of years? Why do you think that that's going to change now? So we will see if Lane's up to the challenge.
Also today, Tennessee will be here. It's going to be a very interesting year for them with Aguilar taking over at quarterback for Nico, who went out west back to UCLA. So where do they go? We were talking to Michael Bratton, Conrad and I were just earlier this morning, and he still believes that they're an 8 or 9 win football team, and that's to me that's a very high ceiling based on what they have coming back and the question marks at quarterback.
So would you say ceiling for you is 8?
For me, yes.
For UT?
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay, then what's the worst case scenario? Do you think there's a possibility they're under 500?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think it's a one game
7
swing.
and 5,
Yeah,
8 and
I think
4.
that's the worst case scenario for them.
Yeah.
And
I think 75 is probably that number
Yeah.
if you're talking floor.
yeah. But yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting, and obviously Arch Manning, going to hear from him, his first SEC football media days. Georgia is also here, so we pretty much was able to identify early on that this was going to be the day that everybody was going to be fired up about, with Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas. Tomorrow will be Kalen DeBoer. It will be Florida, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. Arkansas, Kentucky, Mizzou, and A&M will be the final day on Thursday.
You know, Conrad got to witness it last year in Dallas. I'm just excited. This is going to be the first time that you and I have taken in the contingency of Texas royalty as they walk through the building.
Oh,
and the
just
building is
wait.
put on lockdown.
Yeah, exactly. My question is, does Arch Manning get more attention than Pavia did yesterday? Because that's the crown right now. Diego Pavia got the most attention yesterday, so I would imagine Arch would surpass that, but we'll see.
Yeah. So the questions that we need to be asking about this Auburn football team, and especially what we're going to hear today through the players, and obviously what you've already heard on this radio station with Hugh Freeze joining Mac and Cube earlier this morning on Jox, reasons for the recruiting slide. Like when he gets in the big room, when Hugh Freeze gets in the big room, how many people around the Southeastern Conference, because we've already had the people, you know, like Nathan King or Jason Caldwell, you know, guys like that. I mean, they're rubbing elbows with them every single day in the ambush events. They've already had those conversations, but it's going to be interesting to see what the rest of the media says. Like, okay, what was the reasons behind the current recruiting slide? You're 78th in the country in recruiting. You're last in the SEC, but you only have 9 commitments, so it's nowhere but going up from there. And also, he's already addressed, can you respond to pressure? He is basically telling everybody, Conrad and Landrum, that I am embracing it. I'm not running away from it. It's Auburn. Yes, we need to win more. I'm embracing that. Why Jackson Arnold? Like, why was Jackson Arnold the guy out of the transfer portal that they identified earlier? Because there were some other names out there that you were able to go get. I read last night where he spoke to this Auburn group in Atlanta, and Hugh Freeze says that Jackson Arnold was voted and had one of the highest vote tallies of the entire team for the leadership council. So already Jackson Arnold is taking a leadership role on this football team, and him pointing out that he is one of the most liked and respected persons on that roster, that says a lot. So I think that's one of, if you're asking him the question why Jackson Arnold, I think Hugh Freeze Landrum would be quick to identify we saw leadership capability in
Well, and no disrespect to a Peyton Thorne or the other previous quarterbacks that Auburn's had in the past 2 years, Hank Brown, the list goes on. But Jackson Arnold, all quarterbacks are not created equal. Jackson Arnold is the most talented quarterback that they've had in this position, a 5-star out of high school, out of the state of Texas, very familiar with the system. And I think Jackson Arnold, especially with the setbacks, the struggles, and the expectations going into last year with that Oklahoma team, a lot of injuries with a wide receiving core, offensive coordinator shakeup, I think Jackson Arnold appreciated maybe having some stability and having a chance to kind of restart his college career, even though it's still really in its infancy.
Well, and it's probably very important for him. I mean, we don't know what happened behind the scenes last year, but just imagine you go through what you do last year and you have a coach that comes to you and says, I want you. I believe in you. You're the guy that I can bring in and we can win together. That has to do a lot for a guy like that. Bouncing back from you, you're just knowing you have the confidence of your teammates, of your coaching staff, that they identified you're the guy that they want. You can get the job done. I think that in and of itself could do wonders for him.
And you think about the wide receiving core that he's walking into. Some would argue number 2 in the country, maybe number 1. One of the best, if not the best in the SEC as far as overall talent, and having an offensive line right now that is healthy, experienced, and especially the guys that are going to be protecting your blind side, a potential All-American transfer from Virginia Tech. You get another one from USC. So all the makings, all the pieces in place. Now you just got to go win games.
And also, you need other guys to step up. I mean, you've already had Kendrick Faulk and Connor Lew, both of those guys. They have stepped up. They have developed. So you got to get the rest of the guys to kind of start playing up to their expectations.
Right.
That's based on that roster. And then finally, for me, it's where Auburn is going to be slotted for the rest of the media. Like what is the expectation level? And my personal opinion is that I think you're going to see them anywhere from 6, 7, 8.
Really?
So you
Yeah.
think they'll be in the top half?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I do not think that you can discount the fact that you do have a 5-star quarterback that is coming in. And Tyler McComas is going to be on the show a little bit later, outstanding talk show host in Norman, Oklahoma. And we know when Alabama played them, they were running wide receivers out there that were basically guys that had no business taking snaps, like zero. That was also another amazing reason why they beat Alabama. That's just mind-boggling. But anyway.
And the fact that he only had to throw 11 passes.
Well, I was about to say, I think people realized that game. Oh, okay, this guy is he's not a dual
but
threat.
they didn't even have the weapons to have a threat of throwing the football the way the season went. So you bring him in.
Yep.
You've got the best wide receiver room in the Southeastern Conference, and you guys got a guy like Kendrick Faulk on the defensive side that is going to be
a first-round pick next year.
Yeah, first-team SEC and a first-round pick. So, and based on the fact that they got Georgia and Alabama at home,
sets up nicely.
I really do believe that Auburn absolutely will be in the top half. Do you guys disagree?
Yeah, you said 6, 7, and 8, and this is based on what we think the media is going to do, not our own personal opinions.
We're talking about how the rest of the media.
I think that there's still some doubts, some questions with the media. I will say that the highest that they potentially are voted would be 8th.
Okay.
See, I was thinking like 8, 9, 10 is maybe more so where they would be, because I feel like them and South Carolina maybe are the two that you could see the biggest difference. And some people are going to be really, really high on them, and some people are going to be like, nah, I'm not buying into that this year.
But then how high are teams, because of the same grouping, how high are people going, the members of the media going to be on an Oklahoma? Because it seems like there's a lot of optimism now. How high are they going to be on Texas A&M? Do we view this as another 8-4 Texas A&M team? How about Missouri? Some people you've heard, hey, this is Missouri drop-off, but look at that schedule. We'll remind people they do play Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah, they do. And they have a new quarterback coming in who we've never really seen before from Penn State. But again, isn't that what makes the SEC so great, is we're sitting here talking about all these teams as potentially, if things go well for them, 9, 10-win football teams. Now, on the other end, right, 7-5, 6-6 is a possibility, but there's just so much talent, there's so much competition, and it's going to be very fascinating to see how people vote, because that middle pack after you get Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU is very fascinating.
And with all due respect to those guys in Waco, that's why I kind of disagree that the SEC is going to be very top-heavy. And I guess you'd have to define what top-heavy is, but I think the SEC is going to be pretty strong, at least 1 through 10, 1 through 11.
I agree.
Well, I think more than anything, and I'm not defending them, I think where they were coming from is when you look at the quarterback potential in this league.
Yeah.
It is not as –
well, your mark was – fawning over the Big 12 quarterback talent.
Yeah, so, I mean, they look at it from that perspective. Mm-hmm. And we all know if you are going to compete in this league or compete in the college football playoff, you better have yourself a more than better than average quarterback.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
That you have to be –
you can't mask that position in this league.
No, you have to be –
you can't have a Jalen Milroe, Landrum. You can't. You can't do it.
No, you can't.
Well, 2 years ago you could.
We are live at Digital Drive here on the second level. I know all of our folks that it's kind of odd not having a bowl of chips and salsa in front of us.
It is. Where's Don?
Yeah. Where's BB? Where's all of our regulars? Pelham Gator.
Yeah.
We'll be
FSU
back.
Dave.
Yeah.
Walking around drinking a beer.
Yeah. We will be back there next Tuesday.
That's right.
So, but we are here live in Atlanta, Georgia.
But go in today and enjoy Taco Tuesday in our stead.
Yes, please do. Plenty to get into. Mike Griffith, I was just texting with him. He was wrapping up with Kirby Smart downstairs. He will be by. Tyler McComas from Norman, Oklahoma. We'll get his thoughts on Oklahoma and the rest of the SEC. Ty Richardson from ESPN Radio in Arkansas. He's going to drop by at 1 o'clock hour. If you missed any of those interviews yesterday, I mean, Damian Harris, I got text messages last night.
Yeah, he was sharp. From
some other folks around the Southeastern Conference, like going, oh, my gosh, I listened to the interview with you guys and Damian Harris. And to be completely honest, I don't think a lot of people, no offense to Damian, but I don't think a lot of people watch CBS Sports HQ.
Yep.
And so they've never seen his work, which he does a really nice job. And they heard him on our show, and they were blown away about his football acumen and just the conversation that they have. So if you missed any of those interviews, you can go back and you can catch them in their entirety on joxfm.com.
All right, so we are.
Why are we whispering
I'm
now?
going to talk like we're doing golf and somebody's about to putt. General Rich Clark is right there. Do you think during the break I'd just go ask him, hey, when are we going to get more transparency with the strength of schedule?
I think you should.
Conrad.
I think Conrad.
This is your next challenge.
Pat and I will enjoy doing the rest of the show without you.
No, I'm going to go ask him when the Zoom call is this year because I had such a great time on last year's Zoom call.
Yeah, pretend that you're Mike Griffith.
That would be great.
Mike was the first person to line up and
and
start going after the whole transparency thing.
I respect General Clark.
So this town is happening. We told you yesterday as we got into town, you had Beyonce was wrapping up. Last night wrapped up a 4-night event for Beyonce. We had WWE on Saturday and Sunday night at Phillips Arena. We had the Home Run Derby at Truist Park last night. We got the All-Star Game tonight. This town has a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Number 4, according to our friend Gary Stokin, number 4 convention city in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, and Landry and I went over to the College Football Hall of Fame gift shop a couple minutes ago to check it out, and we actually saw some families, some Pittsburgh Pirate fans that were out on the sidewalk. They were obviously staying across the street from the College Football Hall of Fame, going to the All-Star Game tonight to go see Paul Skeens.
Yeah, very cool.
Who will be the starting pitcher, the former LSU pitcher, as he will take the bump for the senior circuit.
That souvenir shop next door, it's got some really cool retro lids. Alabama, the old school retro. Auburn.
Wait, the elephant coming through the A?
Yeah.
Oh,
and then the Auburn Tiger.
Okay.
That's
it's like the Tiger's
full body
pouncing.
Tiger. Yeah.
Oh,
Very
it's
cool.
some good.
Okay.
They got some good stuff in
Bouncing Tiger, pouncing tiger, whatever.
there.
Yeah.
Hidden
The
Tiger.
bouncing tiger.
Crouching dragon.
Yes. All right, we got a lot going on here on the football terrace at the College Football Hall of Fame, as opposed to the taco terrace that we're normally located at. On
Football
Tuesday.
helmet full of tortilla chips right now.
That'd be really good. Be fantastic. So much to get into. This is Auburn Day at SEC Football Media Days. Bama is tomorrow. We'll listen to a couple of clips of what Hugh Freeze told Cole and Greg earlier this morning on Mac and Cube. This is Three-Man Front on Jox. Back in Atlanta, join us, SEC Football Media Days. Pat Smith, Landrum Roberts, Conrad Van Order, Molly Robinson with you until 2 o'clock. Happy to be joined here on Digital Drive. Jason Caldwell covers the Auburn Tigers for Auburn Undercover, joins us here. Jason, happy football season to you. We're finally here. It's Auburn Day. Just your expectations of what you're going to hear from Hugh Freeze and the rest of the contingency today.
Yeah, actually, because we're separated and there's so many different things, we've already heard from Freeze, Connor Liu, and Kendrick Faulk today in the kind of the radio side of things. And so it's quieter over there. And I think the one thing is, and Hugh spoke about it last night at the ambush, I think this is a more confident group because they feel like this, and I've said this all summer, I think this is the first time I felt like an Auburn roster had a team that could go compete with anybody on its schedule. Now, do I think that means you win all 12 games? No. But I think probably going back, and I said 2017 probably the last time I felt like, okay, that team can go compete with anybody. But even that team, probably I didn't think that going into Clemson in week 3, and they had all those sacks or whatever. So it's been a long time since I felt like you had a roster that can do that. Now, there's still holes, but I think you'll hear that from these guys. They're going like, hey, we feel like now we've got a chance to go out and do that and maybe don't have to worry about the talent being the biggest issue.
Right. And Jason, look, you don't put it all in the quarterback position, but let's be honest, Jackson Arnold probably, as far as God-given talent, the best that Auburn has had at that position in quite some time. Why Jackson Arnold? You're close to the program. Why do they have that full confidence in Jackson Arnold?
Yeah, I think one of it was you see the talent level. And we've seen that other places too where you go, I mean, it was the right fit, the right time for a guy, I think, and then putting talent around him. Oklahoma's a talented roster, but by the time he got to be on the field last year, most of the year, they didn't have many guys out there. So I think they feel like, first of all, the talent level is there. I mean, going back to high school, he was a really highly recruited guy. And then the other part of it is, I think it's the system he played in high school. And so I think decision-making, he's a guy that wants to get the ball out of his hands, get it to his guys. I think that's the key for this offense. And we saw, Peyton Thorne, was as battle-tested and laid it on the line as much as any quarterback I can remember. But he wasn't a guy that got the ball out of his hands a whole lot. Now, he made plays and did some stuff. I think Jackson Arnold's the guy that says, hey, I'll get the ball to my receivers. And so I think it's pre-snap and anticipation of throws. They felt like in the spring was a big deal for him. And so when you do that, combining with Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons, then adding Eric Singleton and some of those guys, I think they feel like they've got a recipe to go out and do some things on offense.
All right, Jason, we heard this was addressed with an ambush right before the 4th of July in Alexander City in regards to the ongoing recruiting situation with this Auburn football team. 9 commitments right now, plenty of ceiling for them to do the work and get the guys that they want. But for the people that you talk to, where is the level of concern, if any, about this upcoming recruiting class?
Yeah, I don't think there's concern right now because I think they feel like there's either one of two. This is like the old Robert Frost poem, the two roads diverged in the yellow wood. We'll find out which way is right. And I think Auburn is prepared to go, look, we're playing it by the way we think this thing's supposed to be working. But if you look up in 2 months and somebody says, nope, every NIL deal is going to get cleared, collectives are still there, then I think Auburn is prepared to go, okay, then we'll switch and do those things. And, they have the money to do that. And, look, let's face it, the last couple of years, Auburn recruited at a really high level. Well, to do that, it took money to do it in this day and age. The money's still there. But right now they're saying, hey, look, this is the way we believe this is supposed to be working. But if it changes, then, John Cohen said it last night. Hugh Freeze just said it a few minutes ago. We're prepared to change and do some things. So I think that's as much as anything going, look, hey, you're prepared for if it were to change. Because if it does, you're still going to have some time between now and signing day.
Right.
But I think, like everybody, I think anybody just wants some direction to go figure out, okay, tell us exactly the way this thing is going to work.
If you look position group-wise, last season to this season, Jason, where do you think that Auburn is either drastically better, incrementally better?
Offensive line. I think offensive line group, adding Xavier Chaplin, who I think most scouts believe is a potential top 50 pick. I talked to a couple of folks that said, hey, there's some NFL scouts coming around that tell us we have 6 draftable offensive line guys this year. I don't think that's ever been the case for an Auburn football team.
No.
Now, you won't have 6 first-rounders, but you might have one, and you might have a couple of guys that push them. Mason Murphy's a guy that I think is really intriguing. He's the other transfer. Xavier Chaplin gets all the attention from Virginia Tech. Mason Murphy came from USC, was a starter out there. I think he can play tackle. I think he can play guard. And they've added 6'7", 345, 6'6", 335. I mean, they've added some guys that can spread out 7-foot wingspans to go along with Connor Lew and Jeremiah Wright and Dylan Wade, and then you get 2 tall back, Isaiah Miller. They feel like they got 6 guys they can win with, and that's a different part.
Jason Caldwell joins us from Auburn Undercover, talking Auburn. This is Auburn Day here at SEC Football Media Days. All right, so Jason, I know you don't have the schedule in front of you. I'm sure you know it pretty well. Last year, Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame, and Notre Dame won or had a chance to play for the national championship. Yep. So we have to get in this NFL mentality now.
Yep, it is.
That you're not going to go 12-0, and if you do, fantastic, but you still got a tournament to go through. So if you look at this Auburn schedule, especially the first half of it, is there a number in your mind or a specific game or games that it's crucial for Auburn to get for them to springboard for the rest of the season for their success?
I think you look at the first 5 games because 3 of those are on the road. You go to Baylor, a couple of games at home that you should win. Then you go Oklahoma and Texas A&M. And then Georgia's waiting after that. So you go that 5-game stretch for me with 3 on the road. I mean, if you're 4-1, I think that's really good. If you're 3-2, I still think it's okay because of you're right. Because now in this league, if you're 8-4 and the 8 are against the right folks and the 4 are against the right folks, you're still going to be right there. 9-3, you're going to be a playoff team. And so I think that first 5-game stretch to me, because you got 3 road games out of the gate. It's Auburn's Big 12 road swing when you go Baylor, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. Can you come out of that one feeling pretty good? And a lot of people point to Baylor week 1. I don't know necessarily that's the one. I think it's the combination of those 3, and can you get 2 of those? And if you do that, you're in really good shape.
Yeah. Jason Caldwell joining us live from SEC Media Days here in Atlanta. Jason, when you look at Hugh Freeze and what he said, and he's taken some of the blame last year and talking about some of those flip games and games that you could have won, namely we'll go Arkansas, you can get Missouri, Oklahoma, situationally game management. I know he's taken some of that blame himself. How do you think he's addressed that, not only to himself but with his staff and trying to correct that in 2020?
Yeah, and I think obviously you take some blame going to head coach and stuff too. I think some of it too is because people point a lot to red zone.
Yeah.
And what I'll say is, I kind of say it all the time, like Steve Sarkisian is the greatest coach ever when he has better players.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, when you don't, then Georgia shuts you down offensively. Go, well, what happened? Well, it's the same play caller, but all of a sudden, so I think a better offensive line and better decision making from quarterback is a big deal in the red zone. So I think that's part of it. The other part of it is some of it was just bad luck. Alex McPherson not being healthy was a big deal for this team, and also it impacts, and it's weird to say it, but it impacts your red zone touchdown percentage when you also think, I've got to score a touchdown because a field goal is not guaranteed. So all of a sudden you start to think about, well, I've got to push the envelope a little bit more. And so I thought it impacted everything for them because I think you look at a couple of games, I think Oklahoma, Missouri specifically, where you go, just a healthy Alex McPherson probably makes a difference in 2 wins last year. And again, I think they've got the freshman kicker, I think, is going to be really, really good for this team. But he got thrust into a position that he didn't expect to be in. And so I think for him it was just going to be a growing experience. But I think those 2 combination of things, I think, helps them going into this year feeling like we're better prepared for those situations now.
Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover. You can follow all of his work there at Auburn Undercover, part of the 247 Network. Jason, give Ronnie my best.
I will. I'll do it, guys. Appreciate it.
Great to see you. That's Jason Caldwell joining us here on Digital Drive. More 3-Man Front live from SEC Media Days next. We told you it was going to be fast and furious day 2 here, football media days in Atlanta, Georgia. We just heard from Jason Caldwell talking about the Auburn Tigers, very upbeat about the Auburn Tigers season. One of Auburn's opponents this year is going to be the Oklahoma Sooners. Auburn's got to make the trip to Norman, Oklahoma. We remember what happened when Oklahoma came to the plains of Auburn last year. Joining us now here at Digital Drive, Tyler McComas, outstanding talk show host there in Norman, Oklahoma, KREF Radio. Tyler, coming off the home run derby last night, now you're back into the football mode. How was last night? Was that a lot of fun?
I'm here with the fellow Braves fan. He's got all the stickers in the world on the back of his computer here, which looks great. It was, once Matt Olson really got going, it started to make a run to the second round. It was really, really cool. I'm glad I went out there. The battery, man, it's insane. They did a really good job out there. It's really cool.
Crazy atmosphere, I'm
Crazy.
sure.
People everywhere. A lot of Yankees fans, which,
Yeah, they're everywhere, man.
No thanks on that. But, no, Atlanta, they represented well last night. It was fun.
All right, so let's talk football. I just segued and opened it up by talking about the infamous trip. You were there last year as Oklahoma came to the loveliest village on the plains, got the upset, knocked off the Auburn Tigers. Now Auburn's got to come back to Norman. A little bit different. New offensive coordinator there for the Sooners. Brand new quarterback that a lot of people are talking about here at SEC Media Days. Just your overall assessment right now where the Oklahoma Sooners are.
I think there's a lot of people are cautiously optimistic because sat here last year and like, hey, I get it. The schedule's tough. It's a new league, but this team with the young quarterback in Jackson Arnold is, ready to do some things last year. And they had the worst offense of my lifetime a year ago, and they go 6-7. But you went out and got arguably the best portal quarterback out there. You went out and got the best portal running back out there. So much so that the day after Jaden Ott signed with Oklahoma, there's CBS articles saying that, he's going to be the best running back in the SEC. You got the young up-and-comer offensive coordinator with his quarterback who brought the quarterback coach from Washington State. You got Jim Nagy, the GM, who's actually going to be here tomorrow. You got good players on both sides of the ball. There's no way it's as bad as it was last year. I can't believe for a second. And not even because they've upgraded the roster. Guys, they were decimated by injuries a year ago. On the offensive line, at wide receiver all year long. I think that the offense is going to be better. I think the defense is still going to be really good. But what does that mean at the end when you talk about a schedule that's the most difficult that Oklahoma has ever had in its program's history? Because 7-5 ain't going to be good enough. If it's 7-5, you guys are going to be calling me wanting to talk about a head coaching search, I think, in December. It's got to at least be 8-4 or 9-3 this year for Brent Venables to be back, in my opinion.
And so, Tyler, from what you've witnessed, and every coach is under pressure in the Southeastern Conference, but for Venables, the history, even given some of the circumstances, not all his fault last year with the injuries, is he feeling the pressure? Can you tell?
So his response to that exact question in the spring was, I feel like someone's been holding my head underwater my entire coaching career. He started his career with Bill Snyder at Kansas State as a very young guy. He said, I'm going to give you 1 year to prove yourself. And so his point was, since that moment, I've had to prove myself, and I feel like someone's been holding my head underwater the entire time. But naturally, yeah, I think that you feel the pressure. You know that it's there, right? And I think Oklahoma's thinking on it has been, all right, 6-7, 2 of the past 3 years, it's not good enough. Year 2 in the SEC. We are going to give you everything that we can possibly give you to make sure that we right the wrongs from last year. So I think that this year is a real evaluation as Brent Venables is the head coach, because there's no excuses now. You can use the injuries as an excuse last year, but now, well, hey, we went out and got you a quarterback. We went out and got you a running back. We went out and got you these receivers. We got you offensive line. We got players on defense. We got an offensive coordinator. We got a GM. We got you everything that you need to turn it around. Now it's on you. Let's see if you do it or not.
Well, you mentioned it, Tyler, the offense, one of the worst of all time for Oklahoma. Now, defensively speaking, you were 6th in the SEC in defense. Very respectable, and you're the upper tier of the conference in that category. So take us on that side of the ball this year. Is it going to be as good as it was last year? Is there room for improvement? So if the offense does not click at the level it needs to, can the defense keep them in a game?
So will the defense be as talented as it was a year ago? I think if the answer to that is no, it's going to be really close. You lose Danny Stutzman, you lose Billy Bowman. Those are 2 big losses. Overall, I think the defense will be as talented, maybe even a little bit more talented than it was a year ago. But here's the thing. I believe OU will finish higher than 6th in the SEC defense-wise. And here's why I think that. And it actually has not as much to do with the defense, has everything to do with the offense. The defense last year was good. I mean, you just said it, Pat. Like, you recognize that the OU defense was good.
Yeah.
The OU defense was good despite being put in terrible situations every single game a year ago. There was one SEC game where the offense actually played complementary football and put the defense in good spots. And I'm sorry to the majority of your listenership, but it was the Alabama game last year, right? And what happened? They held Bama without a touchdown. I think Ryan Williams probably did score on that play, by the way. And Jalen Milroe throws a pick six. But that was an incredible defensive performance, and that's what they were capable of. But the offense, guys, they played Tennessee early in the year. They force a turnover inside the 10-yard line. Offense gives it right back to Tennessee the very next play. Yep. They get an interception off Nico. Offense gives it right back the next play. They force a fumble against Ole Miss in a close game. Offense gives it right back. There was like 3 or 4 times last year where the defense would come up with a huge turnover and the offense would give it right back. So the defense, I think, will be just as talented, but, man, with an offense that doesn't put them in terrible situations time and time again, quick 3 and outs and they're back on the field, I think that this defense got a chance to be special. I mean, Heupel even thinks that they're the best defensive line in the SEC. He said that a couple of weeks ago.
Tyler, now a year under your belt covering the SEC. You obviously covered it, watched it from afar, but 30,000-foot takeaway, if we just want to go football specific, after 1 year in the Southeastern Conference, what has it been?
The tagline that we used to make fun of because you weren't in the league yet, oh, yeah, it just means more. It's true. It's the perfect tagline for the conference because – you go and cover games at Iowa State or Texas Tech or Baylor, and those teams come to Norman and they bring about 75 fans. But then Tennessee comes to town, and there's that gaudy orange everywhere, all over the place. Alabama comes to town and just brings a ton of people. You go on the road, man, like Auburn, and at that point of the year, I don't think very many people were fired up for Auburn football because they already lost a couple of games. But, and I'll say this too. About Auburn. It was a great trip. So when all I heard about the great tailgating spots across the SEC, what do they say? They say LSU, and LSU was great. Tailgating was phenomenal. You hear about the Grove at Ole Miss. I don't think Auburn gets the league-wide or national credit for tailgating that I think it should, because that was the first SEC road trip last year, and how far the tents and the tailgates spanned from outside Jordan-Hare Stadium was incredible. And I think everyone that was there was saying, we're not missing that Auburn trip again. So it does just mean more. The size of the stadium. You're used to playing a bunch of 45,000, 50,000 seat stadiums where it's not even full. Now you're going 85,000, 90,000, 100,000. It's packed in. People are tailgating. It's freaking awesome, guys, is what it is. It's just where Oklahoma as a football program, a blue blood, it's where they're meant to be. And it's so – last year didn't go well. But did people have an incredible time seeing all these new places? Oh yeah. It was awesome.
Tyler McComas joins us from KREF Radio in Norman, Oklahoma. Can you hang for a second?
Absolutely.
All right. He will continue our conversation as well, get his thoughts on the rest of the Southeastern Conference, including, we just talked a little bit about Auburn, about Alabama, the team that Oklahoma upset. They got to come back to Tuscaloosa this season. That's all next. We're live SEC Football Media Days on Jox. SEC Media Days 2025 here on Jox. This is three-man front. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly with you until 2 o'clock Central. Joining us here at Digital Drive, Tyler McComas, KREF Radio in Norman, Oklahoma. Talking a little Oklahoma Sooners. You're number 2 in the Southeastern Conference. So, Tyler, we were talking about Oklahoma in general, a little bit about Auburn. So I wanted to get your take on the rest of the conference. And can Kalen DeBoer get it done in Tuscaloosa, at least get them in the conversation, get them back to the CFP this year?
I'm sure you guys have talked about Ty Simpson more than anybody out there, right? I mean, there are other keys outside that, but clearly, I mean, he's a huge key, right? Can he be the guy that can, push the ball downfield? I mean, you got Ryan Williams, though, man. Just throw the ball downfield. Just let him have opportunity. Football, we overcomplicate things so much. It's in a lot of ways just like basketball. What do they do in basketball? Hey, let's just get the ball to our best player and go. You can't throw it to Ryan Williams every single play, but I think Ty Simpson's going to be a guy that can get Ryan Williams the ball and let him make plays. I think Alabama's going to have a really nice bounce back year, and I think that they're going to go to the playoff. And honestly, I'd probably project like an Alabama LSU SEC championship game.
Oh wow!
Yeah, when I evaluate OU's schedule, I think Texas is the most important game, maybe the toughest game. I think at Alabama is going to be a really, really difficult task for Oklahoma. That they want to get OU back. They got them in Tuscaloosa. I think there's a ton of pressure on Kalen DeBoer. Got to make the playoff this year, right? I mean, come on, it's Alabama. 12-team playoff. You got to make it to the playoff. I think they're going to make the playoff this year.
A team that you're very familiar with resides in Austin, Texas. We're going to see them later on today in the Texas Longhorns. It seems like to me, Tyler, that last year that was ready-made. Like that was the window. Not that this year is hopeless as far as the college football national championship, but it felt like all the pieces were there. I know they're still loaded, but that same schedule, you got to go to Athens. They couldn't slay that beast twice, once in Austin and once in the SEC championship game. Now you got Arch Manning and all the praise, some of it deserved, but are you buying Texas as a national champion?
You guys have picked up on their arrogance by now, haven't you?
No doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, they rolled into it. It's like there's the conference, and hey, University of Texas is here. By the way, guys, just to let you know, we're the most important people.
Do we need another credential just for Texas?
Yeah, that's it. I'm not buying that they're going to win the national championship. I'm going to buy that they're really good because, guys, what backdoor deal did they make to get that schedule?
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, you mentioned they got to go to Ohio State. They got to go to Georgia. They got to go to Florida. Their home games are like Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Texas A&M, and Texas A&M in November, where they always collapse, by the way. It's the perfect time to get A&M. Their schedule is, like, pathetic. Texas and Missouri schedule. So they'll be good. They'll be a 9-10-win team, and I bet that they make the playoff. But, it's funny that everyone talks about Texas like, oh, Sark, this offensive mastermind. Guys, the defense was their better side of the ball last year.
Yeah.
The defense, like Quinn Ewers made some really catastrophic mistakes last year. They got to replace a lot of starters on that offensive line. I don't think Arch is going to have as good of an offensive line. So, by nature, I am a Texas hater, and I stand by that, and I admit that.
We couldn't tell.
No, that's –
Yeah.
Yeah, I set you up for
but,
this.
I mean, I can't stand them. I think they'll probably make the playoff, but, us three could make the playoff with that schedule that they have this year.
Oh, it's definitely a schedule.
Who did you guys tick off, by the way?
I don't know, man.
What did
It's
Castiglione
ridiculous.
do? I think Del Conte and Greg Sankey must have went to a fancy dinner and hammered that out. Meanwhile, Castiglione must not have got left out of that dinner invite because, man, Oklahoma, that was tough last year. I'll be the first. I'm not saying it because you're sitting across from me. I'm telling you because
we immediately looked at the future schedules
wow.
and we were like, Oklahoma got screwed.
And then you got Michigan on top of that, week 2 this year. Have fun with that.
All right, so as I don't want to give away your ballot, as I think we're going to start voting today, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. When it's all said and done, give me the top 4 in the SEC that you think the rest of us brilliant people in the media will be voting for this year's SEC rankings, 1 through 4.
Well, I just told you I think Bama and LSU is probably going to be my pick for the SEC championship
So 1,
game.
2, either or
Yeah.
for those two.
I think Georgia's such a fascinating –
I agree with you, by the way. To me, I did a radio show in Baylor. Remember I was telling you?
Yeah,
I was
David
doing
Smoke,
Yeah, I was doing a Smokey show yesterday. And they started asking me about Georgia. And I said, guys, I'm not 100% sold on Georgia being the top team in the league.
Yeah.
and it has to start at the quarterback, just like you have quarterback questions about Ty Simpson. I'm not 100% sold on Georgia.
I'm not either, and I almost said, it's a big year for Georgia. Well, I mean, compared to what? But it is a big year for Georgia in terms of they have been the best program in the sport over the last 5 years. That can slip a little bit, right, if they don't make a deep run in the college football playoff this year. But I would have Georgia 3, and because of a pathetic schedule, I'd probably have Texas in there at 4.
And I see Georgia the way that you see Texas. There's still the question marks with Stockton and quarterback, really both sides of the ball, and this is not 4 years ago, 3 years ago in the SEC, all things in some cases being created equal. But, yeah, there's question marks there. I don't think there's that clear-cut number one this year heading into the season.
Agree. Totally. It feels – I've been in the league for 2 years now, but I followed the SEC my entire life. This – feels like as wide open as the league has ever been, maybe. And I don't like this aspect of it. It's just the nature with 16 teams and an 8-game conference schedule. It's not just about evaluating who the best teams are in the league. You have to evaluate the schedule because the schedules are so unbalanced in this league. Like Florida. Could Florida have a really good team this year? They could, but their schedule is so front-loaded. So front-loaded. Like they go to Miami early in the year, and maybe they go to LSU right after. I mean, you really got to evaluate these schedules when you look at who the top 4 teams are.
Well, and to your point, Ole Miss might not be as good, but you look at their schedule.
Right.
Maybe they get over that Kentucky hump this year, do what they did last year. We're probably talking about a 10-2 in the playoff Ole Miss Rebel team.
Yeah. There's so many unknowns in this league, and there's a lot of new quarterbacks. I think the biggest unknown, see if you agree with me or not, like Tennessee.
Yeah.
I would have liked Tennessee if all the Nico stuff doesn't happen. I don't think he had some fantastic year last year, especially in SEC play. But what do they have at quarterback? Do they have an upgrade at quarterback? Is it going to be a significant drop-off? I mean, I don't view Tennessee necessarily as an SEC title contender, and I wouldn't pick them today to get back to the playoff, but that is a team that did make the playoff last year. What is Tennessee this year? I think that maybe they're the biggest question mark in the entire conference.
South Carolina as well.
For sure.
Is South Carolina going to live up to the billing and now kind of being the hunted and not being the hunter, Texas A&M? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I think that this league is going to be solid 1 through 10, 1 through 11. Just solid.
Give me one team that we are not talking about today or the rest of the week in the conference that can find its way like Indiana last year and found its way to the CFP. Is there a team in the conference that could do that?
Let's say Vanderbilt.
Diego Pavia said he came back to win a national championship, so there you go. No,
Market.
Honestly, Oklahoma would fit the criteria kind of what you're looking for. I would like to think Oklahoma's a better football program than Indiana, but I understand like the point. I think you get where I'm coming from. A team that wasn't great last year that made that move.
Well, here's the only difference. I mean, I read this morning where Indiana has dropped. Who did they drop? They just dropped somebody off their schedule. Oh, Virginia. They dropped Virginia off their schedule, and they have now added the likes of, let's see here, Austin Peay, Eastern Illinois.
Wow.
So you're looking at a team last year that made the college football playoff by beating FIU, Western Illinois, and Charlotte. That was their non-conference schedule, and they played one of the weakest schedules in the Big Ten. That's different than Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's running a gauntlet
Yeah.
in a Southeastern Conference tough schedule, as opposed to what Indiana did last year.
So a non-OU pick, I like Austin Simmons a lot at Ole Miss.
Okay.
I mean, overall team-wise, they're probably not going to be as talented as they were a year ago, right? But the few flashes that we saw from that kid, I mean, he can play, man. He can play.
He's smart, too.
That's Tyler McComas. Outstanding job. Listen to him weekday afternoons, KREF Radio in Norman, Oklahoma. Tyler, great to see you, man.
All right, love you guys.
Thank you so much. Tyler McComas joining us here on Three Man Front. Mike Griffith is joining us in just a couple minutes from Dog Nation. Give us what Kirby had to say coming up next. You know, it is Tuesday, and as irony would have it, we typically are at Social Taco, and it's Taco Tuesday. And Mike Griffith is always on the show. And
Man, you look good, man.
well, he's tanned. He's been at his beach house.
Yeah.
But guess what they're having for lunch today, right over our corner?
Tacos.
What are they having us, Mike?
They're having tacos.
They're having tacos.
We're on just normal schedule. We don't care what's going on. We're going to make it happen at this time, no matter what's going on.
That's right.
It's my spot time. We're going to do it.
That's right, and we appreciate that. And first off, let me get this out of the way. This is not an advertisement. I'm speaking from the heart. As most of you know, me and my family, we went down to Mike's property in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and we absolutely had a phenomenal time. It is an incredible house. It's less than 100 yards. It's a Gunner Stockton touchdown pass away from the beach. Beautiful white sand, beautiful. We had just an incredible time. You and I were texting when I was down there, and I highly recommend give everyone the Instagram because that's where folks need to go and check out because I know it's being booked up a lot, but need to take advantage
I
of
have
it.
not seen this guy so refreshed and
I was
so
pumped.
rejuvenated
I was ready.
because they came back Saturday evening. Sunday morning we met up, and he looks like a new guy.
It's something in the water.
It
Gulf
was.
Shores, right?
It was.
So the Instagram is at Gulf Shores Getaway AL, right? It's important to know this is the Alabama portion of the beach. It is different than Florida. It really is.
It is.
And Gulf Shores is beautiful. The infrastructure in that city is amazing.
It is, and you brought this up multiple times, and I had not been to that portion of the Gulf of America in a very long time. I always Santa Rosa Beach,
Right.
And I am blown away at the improvements, the construction that is going on. Like you said, I mean that is a hot place to be right now. I think you are going to recoup whatever investments you've got going on.
Well, I
down
hope
there.
so, and I hope people enjoy it, right? Life's short, right? I mean, life is short.
Yes.
And that place is built for those family memories. And, yeah, it's to me, I look at Gulf Shores as a very practical place to vacation. When I think about my family when I was a young father and young kids, I want to go someplace safe. I want to go someplace comfortable.
Yep.
It's not going to break my back and break my wallet. I want to be able to go out for dinner and pay for a check that's under $100. I want to feel safe. I want to feel good where I'm at on the beach. I want to know it's clean. And that's really been Gulf Shore's mission statement. I think they've done a good job while still building, growing. Their schools are brand new down there. They've got an airport functioning now in Gulf Shores, 5 miles from the condo, or the beach house, I should say. And all the feedback I've gotten has been really good. I have a great property manager that owns a couple in there, and he lives down there himself. So there's a lot of built-in pride from someone that owns beach houses next to mine, that runs my beach house like he runs his. And the clientele I've had has been, listeners have reached out to me, friends, family members. You want those people staying there. They take care of it. They appreciate it. And I think they get the most out of it, Pat. So I was really relieved and happy that everything went smoothly outside the beach house. You never can control, well, was there a traffic jam or was the weather bad? But I was glad you got to have the full experience, and I was glad it met expectations. And I still give all the JOX listeners that 25% off. And because this is, to me, that your people, right? I mean, I think about what I do and the audience that I have an opportunity to speak to, and those are the kind of people I want down there because they'll appreciate it. It's personal. And a lot of them are Alabama listeners, and they should take pride in those Alabama beaches. They've done a great job.
I love going down there, Mike, and you guys have experienced it, but you go on the beach. And first of all, there's a reason why the NCAA Beach Volleyball National Championships, that's kind of become their Omaha.
Yeah.
And the city of Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, they do such a wonderful job there with the Sports Commission. But you go on the beach, and it's a who's who of SEC families.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you how many LSU folks, Ole Miss folks that I've hung out with, and just it's a beautiful place
in a golf setting.
Setting.
It's just, the climate is just it's a little cooler. The temperaments are a little bit cooler, but it's a different lifestyle. And I learned that when I lived in Mobile because I lived in Anniston.
Yeah.
Well, Jacksonville technically for a couple of years, and it's different in northern Alabama, right? So you get down to South LA. You get down to South LA, things are just a little bit more chill, a little bit more laid back. It's a different lifestyle down there, and it's a comfortable place. But, Pat, I appreciate the kind words. I'm glad you had a good time. I hope
you rate
people. put it on his Instagram.
You
Yeah.
rated it. Okay.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 5-star ratings. I
Yeah,
mean, the
5-star
people-
ratings on
people that have been
It
there.
Airbnb.
looks
So-
amazing.
So hopefully, if people reach out, through Pat or Landrum or through Gulf Shores Getaway AL, and they say they heard it here, I can offer that 25% discount. Like you said, now in terms of how it fills up, through the first week of August, it's booked. But a lot of people put this off, and truly August, September, October, that is a great time to be down there. Right now, there are some vacancies, so if people want to check it out, more than happy to offer that discount to the JOX audience.
And I told you on Tuesday, so many people, because I know a couple of our listeners, the guys that come up to the Social Taco, they had reached out to you, and they just couldn't get the date. The dates did not mesh right, and they were all last week going, "Hey, can't wait to hear, tell us what it is." And once again, I would be honest with our listeners, and we had Landrum knows I am a hotel snob. There's not a lot of
very much
things,
so.
and there's certain things that I'm just not going to get
He's
a
very
coupon
he's
for.
very bougie about a lot of things.
life is short.
And
You
I'm
gotta
bougie
enjoy
about
it.
some things, but yes, for him to
I'm
say,
a hotel snob, and
not
I'm
have
a
one
snob
complaint.
when it comes to going to the beach, and so that was a leap of faith, and I'm happy to report
was.
that it was absolutely because my wife was like driving down there. She goes, "I know you're friends with Mike, but like if this is not what you expect, because you have
nice.
high expectations." Like, do not ruin a friendship over whatever. And I said, I'm not going to do that.
Leanne
And-
knows you too well.
and I'm just being straight honest with everyone. I would recommend it to everyone out there. If you have an opportunity and you're looking for a place, I'd never stayed across the street from the beach. I'd always been on the beach. That was not a big deal to me.
No.
It was not. It was
The
not
noise
a big deal.
factor.
No, there was none.
It's quiet. You got your own pool right in
I
front
like
of
the
you.
pool scene.
Yes.
That's
No,
cool.
I mean, it was like, because I told my wife, I said, look, I'll go to the beach one day. I'm at the pool the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Y'all have fun. I get bored. I need to be doing other things. But it was great. So that's the
Okay, well, I've got a recommendation
And
for
he
you.
didn't feed the seagulls. Thank
I did not.
goodness. Don't feed the seagulls.
Recommendation for you.
Yeah.
Sanford Stadium. Alabama's going to play there. Ooh. Need to try to see that game. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. 5-star. It's going to be a heck of a game.
That's a 5-star game.
That's my recommendation.
Yeah. Well,
I
that's.
think you need to see that game. I think it's an important game.
Do you have a prediction on that game?
No.
You give us a
You know what?
point spread now?
You know what? I really don't, but you guys know I'm really bullish on Alabama. Now I upset a lot of fans last week, and I didn't mean to. Sometimes I'm not afraid. But
It
this-
was kind of like a backhanded compliment.
Well, it
And
wasn't-
which fans did you
well,
upset?
Well, Alabama fans, because I said last year they were a second-tier program.
You did.
Last year only. I'm not trying to cast any judgment on Alabama football. I covered that program. My goodness, I grew up watching it. I was born in the state. But when we talk about tiers, we've got to be specific.
Yeah.
And if 3 SEC teams made the playoff, you can't have everybody on the first tier. To me, that's a pretty hard line cutoff. If you make the college football playoff, you are a top-tiered program. If you do not, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Alabama, you're second tier. Not
LSU.
third. Not LSU. That last year, just last year, Michigan was not a top-tiered program last year.
Right.
They did not make the play. They beat Ohio State, just like Alabama beat Georgia.
Yep.
But there were some losses in there. You can't say that a year when Alabama loses to Vanderbilt or decisively to Oklahoma
Yeah.
or a bowl game to Michigan when, the one thing growing up about Alabama football that I loved and respected was you knew that when it was bowl season, it meant something to those Alabama players. These Tide guys were playing for their state. They were playing for their family. It meant something to Alabama to play in a bowl game. Didn't matter where it was, didn't matter who was against, they were invested. I didn't feel that last year. And part of it's NIL, and it was the weather didn't help, but it was different. And I thought to myself, this is what Kalen DeBoer's got to get back. I love Kalen DeBoer. I love this guy. I think he's down to earth. I think he's a smart coach. I'm eager to see what he does with Grubb and his own style of quarterback. I mean, you got to play a guy like Milroe. He's so dynamic, so amazing, such a ceiling. But he was taking a team culture and changing it, and it's hard to do that in 1 year. Now this is going to be more his flavor.
Yeah.
And what he did at Washington was impressive. He had a great player in Michael Penix, kind of a generational talent, very special guy who I got to know really well in high school. It's kind of interesting. I'll tell you the sidebar story. So he was a Tennessee commitment under Butch Jones. And when Jeremy Pruitt got hired, they basically pulled his scholarship. And I was on a flight down that day to interview him the day he got his scholarship pulled.
Wow.
So I called back to the office and said, hey, man, my plane just landed. I turned on my phone, and Penix doesn't have a scholarship anymore. I'm supposed to be down here 3 days. What do you want me to do? They said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I'm going to try to get to the kid. They said, go for it. So I'm like, all right, I don't know when I'm going to get here, but I called Mom and Dad and said, hey, can I come? Yeah, we're just trying to figure it out. This just happened an hour ago. I went over there, and I said to Mike, I said, well, Michael, we were supposed to sit down and do a Facebook Live tonight, but he said, no, man, I'll do it. We did a 45-minute sit-down the day his scholarship got pulled.
Unbelievable, wow.
He had 1 week to find another place to go. He was an early enrollee.
That's character.
The family said, you know what, Mike, we really enjoyed talking to you. Why don't you come back tomorrow? We'll fill you in. I spent 3 days at that house watching him get re-recruited by different schools, watching them go through it, and the love in that household and the support in that household and at the high school. You said, now, this is what makes a guy special. Yeah. And Michael Penix had it then. And it wasn't really – I don't want to say it wasn't Jeremy's fault because it happened on his staff, but he was told by Tyson Helton that this guy couldn't run their offense. He just doesn't have the arm for it at that stage of his career. And what a miss. And sorry, Tyson Helton, but you really screwed up. And so the kid ended up at Indiana. He followed Mike DeBoer there. And then Kalen DeBoer was there at Indiana. And that was the track. But if the kid handles it differently, if he doesn't, and it had to be hard to go to Indiana. You think you're going to Tennessee, your dream school, your parents went to Tennessee Tech, right? And then all of a sudden you end up at Indiana. Nobody ends up at Indiana to play football on purpose, right?
No, not then.
I could make an SEC joke here, but I won't. But nobody goes there on purpose. But the kid was willing to do that. He said, these are the people that believe in me. It's going to be cold. The program's probably not the best, but they believe in me. And he took his game there, and he made the most. And Michael Penix, if you know that he's a classy guy, and he's handled things really well in the NFL. But to me, when I think back to that story and think back at how the family handled the adversity and the class that the guy showed throughout the whole process, it was really amazing. And then he becomes a Kalen DeBoer protege, and DeBoer gets the most out of him. And Washington ends up going much further than they probably should have. Great coaching, great play calling, great relationship building. And so that's why I'm optimistic that I believe Alabama's going to be in the playoff this year. I don't know if they're going to win the SEC. I think 4 teams, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Texas. Give me 2 of those 4 teams. I'm going to put them in the championship game. Sorry, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. I don't know enough about Austin Simmons yet. I don't know. They lost a lot in the front 7. I think Lane's obviously done a great job developing Ole Miss into a contender. You got to give him props for that. I thought we saw a very mature and responsible Lane Kiffin behind them. He's still entertaining. He's still fun. But he's kind of gone from bad guy to good guy.
Yeah.
And I like this version of him. Right.
That is Mike Griffith. Can you hang one more second?
Absolutely.
All right, Mike Griffith will stick around. We'll ask him about the rest of the conference and really dive into the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby seems pretty relaxed, pretty at ease today for Georgia Day here at SEC Football Media Days. This is Jox. This is 3-Man Front. We're coming right back. Three-man front on Jox. We are live in Atlanta, Georgia, SEC Football Media Days, day number 2. Man, this is just a rock star talent here. I'm talking about Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas on site today. Bama is tomorrow. Talking about rock stars, our own Mike Griffith from the AJCDogNation.com joins us here on site. He joins us every Tuesday right here on Three-Man Front. Usually we're at a taco spot there in Homewood, Alabama. You still need to come to Birmingham.
I know. I need to hit that up, man.
Let us treat you to Social Taco, the best Mexican
maybe next
cuisine.
year.
Yeah, media days, right?
Who knows? Maybe we'll. Maybe there's some speculation that Birmingham gets it back. I don't know. That'd be cool with me. I love that trip. A lot of fun.
It's awesome. All right, let's talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. Listen to Kirby this morning. Kirby sounds like. Listen, Georgia is always going to be one of the teams that's hunted in this conference, but maybe last year by Georgia not finding themselves playing for a national championship. Not saying that it brought them down a peg or two, but you could tell that Kirby Smart's probably got a little bit of motivation now, and it seemed like that he was a little bit different today behind the microphone. Just what did you hear? You cover him on a daily basis.
Well, I think Kirby looks at it as kind of a refreshed, 54% of the roster is new. And, the leadership they had last year was fine. It was good. It was a veteran team. But when you get younger guys in there, he talks about the passion, fire, and energy. And, these guys realize that they're up against it. They haven't done it before. We can talk about the reload after 2021 when they lost 15 draft picks and 13 guys to the portal and went undefeated. But the guys that came back had been in the program for a minute, right? A lot of these guys really haven't. You got 4 new offensive linemen. Your receiving core is almost completely, reloaded. Your backfield is going to look different without, ETN back there. Quarterback's different. Gunnar Stockton. Defensive line, much younger. Secondary, you got some new guys you're plugging in. So there's a lot of newness there. The standard remains. The schedule's challenging. But you got some new cats in there. And I think Kirby likes the fact that these players know they got to prove it, right? And he's still big on the whole relation. He's still trying to do it like he did it before. And can you do it like that? Can you coach these guys hard? Will they take hard coaching even though they are signed for $200,000, $300,000? Can you still lean on them? Can you still build that toughness? Does the character, carry over? We talked about, in the first segment about, Kalen DeBoer building his own culture. Does the Georgia culture carry over in the NIL era of Bloody Tuesdays and hard work? Can you do that in today's era? And Kirby believes he can. There's a lot of continuity there. There's some speculation that if it doesn't work, does he go into a chapter 2? I think about how Nick Saban kind of flipped the script when we think about early Nick teams versus late Nick teams. Early Nick teams, it was almost like, I don't want the quarterback to beat me. We got a heck of a defense. Late Nick teams is like, man, he was bringing in some all-star talent at quarterbacks and creative coordinators like your Kiffins and your Sarkisians and your Brian Dabols. I mean, they had guys that were, and Nick stepped. Now, it was still Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Fingerprints were still on it. But you were bringing in different cats. It wasn't about continuity. It was about creativity. Now, does Kirby stick with Bobo and maintain the continuity? Well, we'll see. Here's your audition. We're going to find out what Gunnar Stockton does this year.
Gunnar Stockton, he earned my respect because he looks like he's tough as nails, and we saw that. It was evidence late in the season when he had to come in for an injured Carson back. How good can he be?
It's hard to say. He is legit 6'1" and 220. He's built pretty good. Because he was playing Notre Dame, and I thought Notre Dame's defense was pretty dialed in late in the year, because it was his first start, because Notre Dame had time to scout him, because he didn't really have the timing down with the receivers, that's a pretty tough curve to be graded on. And so I looked at the spring game, and I was critical, but then I reminded myself, I think Georgia's defense is the best in the SEC, front to back. All right, and there's better individuals on different teams, but when I look at what Georgia has at each level, I think they're really good. I don't think they're 2021 good, but in today's age, I don't think anybody is. So maybe some of that was the Georgia defense that I saw. He did miss on a couple of throws. He's got to get more consistent, but he's had a summer to work with these guys 5 days a week. They got 27 practices or something like that in the fall. Yeah. There's still time to get down, and then they got a couple warm-up games. They play Marshall and Austin Peay, and it's probably good they're not playing at Clemson and Oregon in the opener this year. So they got some time to warm it up before they play at Tennessee. You win that game at Tennessee, you get some good confidence. You find out where you're at, and then you got a bye week, and then you've got your first exam. right? You got Alabama, and a lot rides on that game. Alabama, even though they had a quote-unquote down year for Alabama, it's still Alabama. That nothing's changed. There's still a standard there. There's still a degree of excellence. Those kids at Alabama know that they've got Georgia's number. They don't want to be the Alabama team that takes a step back. Georgia fans are looking at it. It's the first time Bama's played in Athens since 2015 when Kirby was a DC. The Georgia kids understand that part of their legacy is going to be if they beat Alabama. I don't know when they'll play Alabama again after this year. You think about it, the scheduling model is really up in the air. These teams aren't automatic, penciled in for the SEC title game. I was just thinking, talking off air with Pat about different programs, and last year all the newness at Texas, and it was shoved down our throats and up our what, and we're going to get a little bit more of that with Arch Manning, which is a little bit more digestible because the SEC legacy of his family and David Cutcliffe obviously, but now it feels like in 1 year yeah, Texas and Oklahoma, they belong. I'm good with it. I'm already adjusted. It doesn't seem odd to me.
You've moved on from last year's bitterness.
Well, the preseason, it was just kind of come on, how much more of this Texas stuff can we take here? But I like Sarkisian. He's slick. Now those fans kind of showed their tail when Georgia went there and beat him up pretty good. The one occasion when everybody was rooting for Georgia probably was when they played at Texas, right?
You're right.
It's kind of like that with Alabama too.
Yeah.
I don't want to say Alabama's turned into a sympathetic figure. They haven't, but let's face it. SEC football is better when Alabama's good. Yeah. Like SEC basketball is better when Kentucky's good.
No doubt.
There's some staples of tradition. Yeah, I would say the same about Auburn, by the way. I talked about that last week. That I want to see Auburn football good again. It means something there. There's a tradition there.
All right, so let me ask you a question about Hugh Freeze. And listen, you cover the conference as a whole. You concentrate on Georgia, and you used to cover the Auburn Tigers. Your thoughts on where Hugh Freeze needs to take this program this year? Because we talk about it every single day. The pressure is real, but his message to the fans this year is, I'm embracing it. We should win more games. I've been successful everywhere I've been. Now is the time for us to take that step.
What year is this? What is this, year 3? You'd like to see Auburn on the brink of a 10-win season. You'd like to see them win the games.
So in the conversation for CFP.
In the conversation, get you a win over, obviously a win over Alabama or Georgia, and you say, well, that's a lot. Well, you know what? Past coaches have delivered. We know they may not have as much talent, but Auburn's the place where it doesn't.
Hugh Freeze is telling us now that the talent is there. And the talent is as good as anybody on their schedule, including Georgia and Alabama.
Well, all right. We'll find out. Line them up and do it. Because right now Auburn's kind of fallen out of the conversation, and that's sad to me, because that's a tremendous fan base. Jordan-Hare Stadium. It's not the stadium that makes it special. We've talked about it, and it needs to be power washed. But it's the people in the stadium that makes it special. It's the Auburn fan base that makes it.
So it's not the spotted concrete that needs to be cleaned.
No, and not even Bruce Pearl could put lipstick on that pig. But it's the fan base that makes Jordan-Hare special. It's the town of Auburn. It's the tailgating that takes place outside. It's the passion. Doesn't matter what the record is. The Auburn fans show up. Everybody, oh boy, those South Carolina. Listen, the Auburn fans are by far and away per capita the most loyal, passionate fan base in the SEC.
What's so funny is I was power washing my front walk the other day, and all I could think about was Mike.
It's not that hard. I did it the other day too.
No, it's not. And there's other things that they could do. They got a new scoreboard. I don't know if they're adjusting
that's cool.
the power washing.
No, that's pretty neat. I mean, and listen, Georgia's got to play there this year, and that when I look at losable games and I close my eyes and I try to imagine who they might lose to, that is a very imaginable loss. I could see. Because 2 years ago I was sitting there going, "Oh my God, they might lose to Auburn today." Are you kidding me? And they got Brock Bowers, and if it wasn't for Brock Bowers,
no doubt,
riding in on the white horse, and what a generational player he is. He's not a guy that's going to get a lot of. He doesn't do a lot of talk or hype or anything like that. That is an SEC legend. If we were going to do an SEC Legends Wall, that's a guy that needs to be on it.
We were talking about guys that you kind of want to see in person, and you've done this for years. Pat has as well, and I've been to several of these. He was one guy that I wanted to see in person just in suit,
Oh, my
street
goodness.
clothes, if you will.
Street clothes was very impressive.
And I was even more impressed
Yeah.
because TV doesn't do it justice how large of a human being he is and what he can do athletically.
So fluid.
Yeah, he was. When he was being recruited, obviously everybody wanted him. Was there anybody that was close to Georgia? Was Georgia worried about not getting him? Well, who was recruiting?
Well, I mean, it was COVID time. You know, he was sending in tapes of himself working out and stuff like that. So it was a very different type of. Well, you know, the guy that recruited, the story that came out was Scott Cochran, right?
Yeah.
What do they call it? Coach A, Coach L? What do they call him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was actually doing Zoom calls with him from the facility where he was going through his treatment, and nobody knew it. He blurred the background. Remember that story when he was talking about how he kept his job and he was recruiting even when he was going through the rehab?
Yeah.
Brock Bowers was one of those guys on the Zoom calls.
That is amazing.
So when
What a great
people
story.
say, yeah, well, you saw what happened with Cochran when he went to Curry. Yeah, well, he landed Brock Bowers, and he wasn't the only one. He was absolutely a part of those Georgia championship seasons. He may not have done it on the sideline. He certainly didn't do it like he did at Alabama. That's a talented guy. You talk about stories you like to
We
follow.
had him on the show.
Yeah, and I love what this guy's doing, and we're all pulling for him and
Yeah.
what he's gone through. But that is a very talented guy. They probably need a 30 for 30 on this guy.
Well, let me tell you, and we're about to wrap up with Mike Griffith, but I wanted to finish the thought on Scott Cochran. I had plenty of friends who had children that played at Alabama when Scott Cochran was the strength conditioning guy, and they had closer relationships with Scott Cochran than they did their own position coaches.
Tua was one of them. Tua used to talk. Tua said he was.
So many of those guys wanted to throw in the towel, and if it wasn't for Scott Cochran's the one that had those one-on-one relationships and the conversations with these young people
That
Like-
allowed Nick Saban to be Nick Saban.
Absolutely.
It's a great point.
And that was very, very critical to a lot of. You mentioned Tua. I'm not going to mention the names because I don't want the family to be upset because I brought their names up on the radio. But they were significant names in the Alabama football program that if it had not been for Scott Cochran, those kids would have transferred.
Well, when
Those
you've got
kids
when
would
you've
have
got
left.
it when you've got a superstar talent, kind of like Landrum.
Absolutely, I have to deal with that every single day.
Every day. If
Every
you weren't here
day.
for him,
Yes.
I don't know if it'd be the same.
It wouldn't.
I don't know if he could be Landrum.
That is Mike Griffith. We are so blessed to have him on this program every single Tuesday. We have people, no lie, Mike, they come into the restaurant laughing, shaking their head. They either love what you say or they're pissed off at what you said.
I want to tell you, I don't care what you say. I love you for what you do for this program.
I just got to deal it straight, right? I mean, that's the most
And you
important
do.
thing. It's an opinion. And I'm not afraid to disagree. I guess if you've done it long enough, enough different programs, there's going to be times I'm wrong. But all I can give you is my opinion based on, my perspective from being at different places, dealing with different coaches. And, at the end of the day, I always give thanks to Coach Stallings and the time I had at Alabama because that program took me in, brought me into meetings, let me see the program from behind the wall. And for someone that grew up watching SEC football, and I know Gene isn't Paul Bear Bryant, but, he's a guy that was also under Tom Landry, and I felt like I learned college football the right way covering Gene Stallings and his staff, and I still talk to some of those staff members, and I get their opinions. So sometimes I got a little insight. A little birdie gives me a little call and a little insight on Bama and Auburn every now and then.
For the most part, there are people here. There's some great people here. There's some phonies. You're genuine.
I try to be.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach Stallings taught me that, because there was, you sit around that table with Coach at the end of the day at his press conferences, and they weren't like press conferences now. He brought you in the coach's office and put you at the coach's table, and there were plenty of times when myself or Cecil or Doug or Gilbo or somebody would ask a question, and Gene would lead forward and say, "You turn them tape recorders off, and I'm gonna tell you what happened."
Yep.
And then he turned and said, "One of you guys reports this year out of this room."
Yep.
And then the tape recorders would go back on, and now here's what we're going to say. But you knew how it really was.
Sure.
And Gene wanted you to know how it was. So you had the perspective to be, well, how come you're not writing about this guy? Or how come you're not, we're writing about this guy or this guy. Yeah, it's just trust our news judgment on this. Might have a little help on that one.
That is Mike Griffith, Tuesdays with Mike Griffith. We're usually at Social Taco. Hopefully he'll get to Birmingham and join us.
Gulf Shores Getaway
One
AL.
of these days. Yeah,
Yep.
Gulf Shores Getaway AL. Appreciate the recommendation, Pat, and I hope people
Absolutely.
take me up on the offer. August, September, October, you're looking for a weekend or a week at the beach. It's a nice place
Thanks
to
for
stay.
rejuvenating my partner.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the season.
It's the Alabama beach, man.
That's right.
It's special.
Yes,
it
it
is a
is.
special place,
That
man.
sand between my toes. I'm ready to go.
Love it.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
Thanks, Mike. All right, that's Mike Griffith joining us. Dave Shoemate from SEC Unfiltered is next. It is 12:35 over here in Atlanta, 11:35 across the great state of Alabama. Welcome back. This is Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock, day 2 of SEC Football Media Days. We have just been jam-packed. Jason Caldwell, Tyler McComas. You just heard from Mike Griffith joining us here, Digital Drive. You heard him a lot during the basketball season from SEC Unfiltered. Joining us now, Dave Shoemate. Dave, welcome to the program.
Appreciate y'all having me on, fellas. First time I'm getting to formally meet y'all, putting a name to a face, so that's always good. First SEC Media Days for me. Again, I was on the college game for 9-10 years, so first time coming over here with SEC Unfiltered, fired up, getting to meet good people like y'all.
What are your first impressions seeing us in person?
The way y'all stay in shape. I mean,
the
weather, the ability for y'all to get outside and keep the calories off in Birmingham is phenomenal.
No,
I like
not
this
me.
guy.
Now Landrum and Conrad both. I'll give them props. They've been going up to the 6'4" gym and
Cranking it out,
doing stuff. And
y'all morning, afternoon guys.
Morning. Every morning.
Me
yeah.
too. Yeah.
No, I walk, but I'm not.
It's kind of like my coffee time. I don't even use it as workout time. It's just kind of part of my process.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's much easier to get it done in the morning than the afternoon.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So as you have matriculated throughout the SEC media row, what do you hear? Like, what's the vibe? What's the feeling around here? Who's going to win the conference? what team's going to disappoint, what fan base is going to get ready to fire their coach. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but since you have been around a lot of these different shows, what are you hearing?
Kind of feels like everybody's struggling to kind of pinpoint who that fifth team is. I think we're all I mean, myself included, I think everybody, I don't want to speak for y'all, top 4 teams, Alabama, Texas, LSU, Georgia. Kind of to me, I've seen a lot of other predictions. Most people shake it up as you want out of those top 4, but then I think there's a gap, and Oklahoma feels pretty good, but they have the tough schedule. Texas A&M feels pretty good. I feel like talking to people over there, they feel like they have a lot of questions answered outside of that quarterback position. Then a team like Florida, can DJ Lagway stay healthy? He's had that injury in the spring, so I think it'll be key with him. They also have a tough schedule, but those are kind of the teams I feel like that I've seen some people throw South Carolina in there, but I feel like they lost so much on defense. I really do think that 5th spot in the league, and maybe does the SEC get 5 spots this year, a little bit between one of those 3 teams, and Florida, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma.
You might have just mentioned them, but who is that team that you think might be getting a little too much praise heading into the start of the season?
I'm probably going to lean South Carolina. I just briefly mentioned them. Shane Beamer said it yesterday. He's like, last year.
Is it because of the defensive losses?
Correct. You lose 9 starters on defense. As we know, you can't replace what they lost, not just on the edges when they lost with Kyle Kennard, defensive player of the year. I mean, we know they got Dylan Stewart back, but the T.J. Sanders, the Tonka Hemingways, guys like that on the interior, you guys know. You fought Alabama for you don't build that depth anymore, and certainly South Carolina doesn't have it. Lost Nicky Manwari on the back end. Not saying they're going to be bad, but y'all remember that Oklahoma game, they scored 14 points in Oklahoma's first 3 offensive series. The South Carolina defense did.
That was over early.
Yeah, it was over. The South Carolina defense gave them a lot of advantages, helped the North Sellers and them kind of get their feet wet until that offense got comfortable.
And how do they handle this? It's not like it's a program that has not experienced success. Of course, we think about the Spurrier years and the 11-win seasons. But it is different when people are thinking you're legitimate. I'm sure Alabama, they've circled that game at Williams-Brice this year to steal it from Kirby Smart, going from being the hunter to the hunted. And I feel like South Carolina, that's not a team that's going to slip up on anybody.
No, and from internal stuff you hear, I think if you polled the 16 coaches in the league, randomly enough, a lot of them aren't too fond of Shane Beamer. So I think this is a game. Talk to people at Georgia. They say randomly enough. Again, they don't play anymore on a regular basis now, and the East-West divisions are gone. But him and Kirby Smart and Shane Beamer did not get a list. That was a game randomly enough Georgia would have circled as I want to beat him. I think Mark Stoops feels the same way. Eli Drinkwitz feels the same way. Go down the list. So to your point, I think they're going to be I think they're kind of that team that's getting a little overhyped. And to be fair, Shane Beamer, mentioned it yesterday. You have one of the better starting quarterbacks in the league back, and you're coming off a 9-win season. So I think people are kind of like, why not?
Do you think there's too much pressure on Arch Manning to deliver this year?
I would say so, because, again, I think it's not just on him, because you lose 4 starters on the offensive line. You have Trey Wisner back in the backfield, who I think is good for 3 to 4 yards. And then when it's on his own, which most offensive line coaches would tell you, my guys are here to block for you for 2 to 3 yards. And after you, it's on you to make the guys miss the second, third levels. I don't think he has that. I think they got to have maybe a guy that, and I think we forgot last year, C.J. Baxter went out. One of their best running backs went out for the year in fall camp. He's back. That'll be interesting. They'll have to lean on that run game of 4 new starters. They lost their top 3 receivers last year, too. And Gunnar Helmet tight end was that safety net that Quinn Ewers had. So a lot of different holes, not just for Arch Manning, but I think some other people are going to have to help him early for them to really get going. And we know they have that tough test at the Horseshoe in Columbus to open up the season.
You know, the team that I look at, guys, and we're not maybe hearing enough about it. We're hearing some. But the potential of what they think they have, and you look at a brutal schedule. But I think Florida has a chance to really screw up some seasons.
Yeah, I agree. Them in Oklahoma, because I think they are kind of, we mentioned who's kind of that 5th spot. Those teams do have the tougher schedules. They're on the better teams in the league that I think are the true contender schedule. They're going to have some kind of say, to your point, Landon. Like, they're going to have some kind of say who wins this league, who's playing in Atlanta come December, because Texas goes there. Georgia plays Florida in Jacksonville. You got Oklahoma plays LSU, Alabama, and Texas. Like, it's all kind of mixed in. To your point, I think those 2 teams are going to have a massive say in who's going to be playing in Atlanta now. Honestly, the whole standings shake up.
So we were talking to Tyler McComas from Norman Radio, and he told us that if Brent Venables doesn't get to 8 wins, he's out. he believes that pressure is real. Do you think the pressure is real for LSU and Brian Kelly? Because it depends on who you talk to. We talked to Matt Moscona from ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. He feels like if they don't make the college football playoff, there's a serious conversation about the amount of money and the things that they've done to give him the tools to succeed. Others think that's ridiculous. It's Brian Kelly. You know, you can't get rid of him because he's one of the better coaches out there in college football. Where do you stand on LSU in regards to the pressure for them this year?
Yeah, I would say it's about right. And obviously, Matt has a better pulse to being on boots on the ground in Baton Rouge than I do with them. But, yeah, I think they do feel good about their upcoming season here in 2025 from talking to some people internally in the building. But I do think that is fair. If you miss the playoffs in year 4, because Brian Kelly even said it going to last year, I think maybe it's year 2, judge me on year 3, because he was big on what he did at Cincinnati year 3, what he did at Notre Dame year 3. They underachieved. And I think everybody kind of looks back on that 23 seasons like, man, we did have a Heisman winner, but, man, it felt like we left a lot of meat on the bone that season with how bad you were defensively. If you were just average defensively, that team could easily win the SEC West, win the SEC potentially. But, no, I think this year is massive for them, absolutely, because I do think they have to split those first 2 games. Or for 2, they got to split. They got to be 2-1 at the very least after the first 3. Clemson, whatever, it's a non-conference game. I'm not going to judge them harshly unless it looks bad. Because y'all know we could have 2 legitimate – that could be a really good football game. Someone's got to lose. They can't lose that Florida game 2 weeks later at home. They beat you last year. That should be somebody you have circled. I mean, you guys are a little older than me. Y'all remember that game always used to be a little middle of the year later.
Yes.
It's early in the year now.
Yep.
A team that beat you last year, they're getting some hype. You can't start off 0-1, 1-2 in league play. Or I should say 0-1 in league play, 1-2 overall. That's the game I'm looking forward to for LSU to really determine what they're kind of going to look like this year. They may not end up even going to Atlanta just if they win that game. But I want to see they cannot start 1-2. They have to win one of those first 2 games, and then I think we go from there. Because I think after that, schedule's pretty manageable in my opinion. Because as you could probably tell, I'm not overly high on South Carolina. South Carolina goes to Baton Rouge. I think they should win that. A&M in Baton Rouge, that's another game I feel like you should win. I think that next game, after that Florida one, that trip to Tuscaloosa is the next one I would have circled kind of on that counter. Maybe in Oxford, too, would be another one. But I don't know. I think the schedule sets up well for LSU if they can get one of those early season wins against Florida or Clemson.
Hanging out with Dave Shoemate, SEC Unfiltered, live from SEC Media Days here on 3-Man Front and Jox. Tennessee, Josh Heupel. Has he built up enough equity? Is he playing with house money because of the Nico late departure and trying to fill that void?
I would be – ask me that in December, and I know we're sitting here in August, so you're not asking me that in December. But I think I always said when he left, it was the better for the overall program that he kind of cut bait. But I think 2 things can be true at once. It can be better for the long term, but I think it could really affect you in 25. I mean, your quarterback wasn't even there in the spring.
Yeah.
I mean, how much you already lost a lot of your receivers, lost starters on the offensive line. Defense carried them a lot last year. I still think it'll be good with Tim Banks and Rodney Garner, but they still lost some primary defensive linemen to our point about South Carolina. It's just tough to replace in a year. I think Tennessee to me screams 8-4. I thought they were kind of 8-4, 9-3 with Nico, and I thought this may be the year they get Georgia week 3 in Neyland, just because Georgia will be breaking in. Kirby Smart mentioned they have 54% of the roster is youth. Now that you lost that quarterback, you can say what you want about Nico. I think that will hurt them specifically just for 25. Now, will the touchdowns maybe go up with Joey Aguilar? Sure, but inevitably the interceptions from his time back at App State are going to go up too. How much does that hurt him? Critical interceptions, who knows?
Dave Shoemate, he's going to hang out for one more segment with us as we come back live from SEC Football Media Days in Atlanta. disappointing loss in Nashville and then the embarrassing loss to Oklahoma there in Norman. Just the expectation level. 10 wins for this Tide team this year. I know you've already mentioned it, that you think Alabama's one of the 4 best teams in the SEC. But if it does go south and he doesn't get to 9 wins, if he goes 8-4, what's the conversation we're having next year at Media Days?
Yeah, just in general, let's just say he misses the playoffs. Yeah, next year I think would be a hot seat year. A lot of people would be on it. Me and Conrad, when we were waiting to come on here, we're just talking about how everybody was just nitpicking Hugh Freeze's golf game. I mean, maybe if that happens, Kalen DeBoer's shirts are going to just be nitpicked through for an entire offseason again. So stuff like that. But for Alabama this year, I mean, we saw them last year. Not really, I don't want to say they're going to lose. They'll lose a big game or two. I mean, they're due to lose a game to Georgia, but not really worried about them in big games. When we saw them in some big games, which I know they lost in Knoxville, but Georgia at home, at LSU, the game plans look crisp. I'm looking to the game. It's, I believe, without looking at it off the top of my head, it's that kind of game like South Carolina the week after the Tennessee game before a bye week. Like, how is this team's kind of preparation into that? We saw last year that would get them a little in trouble. The Vanderbilt game after the Georgia game, the Oklahoma game 2 weeks after the LSU game when Oklahoma was banged up, already fired their offensive coordinator, had every reason in the world to quit, and you just looked like you hadn't been prepared all week. Those are the games I'm going to be looking forward to Kalen DeBoer and Alabama this year heading into year 2. How do they step up in those games? And again, South Carolina may be better than I think, but I think that is your literal definition of a trap game after a revenge big game at home against Tennessee, and you have a bye week and a potential big matchup against LSU looming in the future. How can you lock in and out-prepare South Carolina for that specific week?
Dave, next year at this event, wherever it may be, when we learn that, which coaches that are representing their member institutions this year will not be at next year's event?
You made me guess. All right.
For whatever reason.
All right. I'm going to go Sam Pittman. I think because you got 2 out of 3 things going for him. He's either going to retire, he gets let go, or he stays. I think 2 out of 3 are pretty strong that either gets let go or retire. I'll say Sam Pittman would be one. Man, odds of one of Brent Venables and Hugh Freeze not being here next year, I would say probably pretty high, so one of those. And then I think Stoops' buyout's so high. Like, I think like, it's just kind of faded out. It's like Coach Rick always used to say when we were at Georgia, it's like after about 10 years your message goes dry a little bit.
You know what's so amazing, you just mentioned Kentucky, is, you know, we've been here, obviously, this is our 3rd day being here and around other SEC media. That is the first time that I've heard anybody mention the University of Kentucky.
There's no Jews.
Zero. I mean, that is so crazy. It hit me like a load of bricks because we saw Diego Pavia and the mass hysteria around Vanderbilt football yesterday.
Yeah.
I have not heard Kentucky one time until Dave brought it up.
No, I haven't heard Mississippi State either, to be fair. But no, Kentucky is probably more notable that we have not heard anything.
Nothing. Not even their fan base isn't even really. Our content from SEC Unfiltered at times isn't even really.
I mean, Zach Calzada is their
back.
quarterback.
He's
back
bigger
in the conference. He's gained 30 pounds.
This would be what, his 5th, 6th school? Yeah, I mean it'd be his 3rd SEC school.
Yeah,
Incarnate Word and
Texas
somebody else.
A&M. You got Auburn.
I think Incarnate Word.
Yeah,
was another one.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're right. We haven't heard anything about Kentucky or Mississippi State. I think most people have them as 15, 16. But yeah, Kentucky is just a program. I feel like right now that like even Mark Stoops, I don't even know if he gets fired up to go to the
And just think about it, because a couple of years ago, Kentucky was the team. You remember when Stoops and Beamer was going back and forth with each other? You know, there was a little bit of bravado with Kentucky football.
Yeah.
And then, my goodness, they get the one SEC win, and it's against Ole Miss.
But it seems like he finds a way to do that. I think more than him getting fired, I think he says adios.
Adios.
Yeah.
If Kurt Ferentz is, if y'all, I'm sure y'all have heard that too. If Kurt Ferentz will ever leave Iowa, I think that's where he would want to go, is somewhere like that. Mark Stoops.
And people forget that Mark Stoops had an opportunity to take the Texas A&M job. I mean, he basically was being reported that he was leaving. Going from Lexington to College Station.
And they essentially Shiano'd him, like Tennessee fans did. He was getting on the plane, and it was just like, we'll cut it, never mind. Sitting getting the approval rating, I thought.
No, it was crazy. So, all right, so as we vote, you gave away kind of the lead once again, the top 4. But do you think the vast majority of us in the media will vote those 4? Alabama, LSU, Georgia, and Texas.
The top 4. Yeah, I'd be a little shocked if most people.
In some order of that 4?
In some different order. If somebody doesn't have, pull it as you may. I mean, in my predicted order right now, still, I'll probably could change it before we get into the week. I'm going to have Georgia, LSU in the SEC tie. I'm going to have a random mix up there where Auburn beats Alabama this year. I think Bama makes the playoffs, but they're 10-1 rolling on. They're going to the Plains and lose.
Okay, so
and that knocks them out of Atlanta. They're still in the playoffs, but 10-2 for Alabama.
I love the specifics, by the way.
Yeah,
from you.
very much
this
so.
is the time of the year. I'll go. Last week is usually the week I'll go do every game by game because I always try to get a predicted record, and then I'm looking at the schedule like, well, there's their bye week or who's Oklahoma playing before, and you're like the South Carolina game I mentioned for Alabama. I'm like, I have them winning that game, but that is the game last year they probably lose after a potential big win.
That's
going to
be tough. Yeah, no doubt. That is Dave Shoemate. You can follow him and his great crew at SEC Unfiltered. They do a great job covering the Southeastern Conference. Dave, great to meet you in person.
Yeah, thanks,
you have
Dave.
been a frequent guest on our program in the past, and this gives us an opportunity when we get together to say hello to some friends and welcome aboard.
Appreciate y'all having me on, and great meeting you guys as well.
Thanks. It's Dave Shoemate. More. We're halfway home. SEC Football Media Days in Atlanta. This is Jox. This is Three Man Front. We're halfway home, day 2, SEC Football Media Days. It is Auburn Day here at the SEC Media Days at the College Football Hall of Fame. We're going to hear from Coach Hugh Freeze momentarily, as he was at the podium just a couple moments ago, and he really loves his football team. He's embracing the team's expectations that a lot of fans and the media has. So we'll get to that in just a moment. But I want to remind everybody about this is absolutely the best time possible to go to Courtesy GMC in Trussville, because right now they're ramping up the lowest prices you're going to find not only in the Birmingham metropolitan area, but the entire Southeast. And I'm talking about $15,000 off Sierras. How about up to $10,000 off Sierra HDs? The largest discounts you're going to find on 2025 Yukons. How about the all-new 2026 GMC Terrain? How about right now, those 2026s? You're not going to find them anywhere else except Courtesy GMC. Take advantage of these summer sales, sizzling event deals at Courtesy GMC. Go by and see them right off of I-459 exit 32, or visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. And do not forget, as always, you've got 9 acres of inventory and wonderful pre-owned vehicles right there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville.
You mentioned we're going to hear from Coach Hugh Freeze, who Conrad befriended last night in the lobby. Here is the Auburn head football coach.
Well, good afternoon. SEC Media Days are always a exciting time of the year for us, because we know what's coming right around the corner. And at Auburn, we couldn't be more excited about this fall and what we've done to get to this point. Recently, Jill and I had the privilege of going to Plainsman Park and seeing Butch and his guys battle for a trip to Omaha, and a few weeks earlier to see the same with our basketball team. And it just reminded me of how incredible, the Auburn fan base is, that they always show up and are faithful. And we've had a third straight sellout. And our president, Chris Roberts, often says that Auburn has earned the right to dream the biggest dreams, and that's the way I feel about our football team, for our fans this year, and for our administration, and for our team. I like our squad. I like the makeup of it. I like the staff. I love the energy that's in the building. And I can't be more excited about us having a chance to prove that we can compete in every single game that's on our schedule. And heading into our third year, with respect, obviously, to our great league, our roster is just better. We're bigger, we're faster, we're stronger, our culture is strong. And our chemistry and carryover in coaching is here for a second consecutive year. And most of our locker room is bought in to the standard to which we think it will take for us to win football games. And so we brought 3 great ones here today in Jackson and Connor and Keldrick. I know you got to visit with them, but those are incredible human beings. Number one, great Auburn men, and also tremendous leaders for our football team that we will count on heavily come this fall. We have built this fairly fast. We should have won, or could have won, some games last year, and we've done everything in our power to evaluate why that happened and what we can do better as coaches, and then get more pieces to the puzzle with more and more players. And we feel very confident we've done both. And our expectation is we embrace the high expectations that Auburn brings, and we believe this team's potential is limitless.
Thank you, Coach. If you have questions, please raise your hand. Miles, Ty, and Olivia will get to you. We'll start right here in the center aisle, right in front of us. You're out.
Hey, Coach. Wyatt Fulton, Type 100.9 Radio in Tuscaloosa. You're 0-4 against Georgia and Alabama your first 2 years at Auburn. Why do you think this year's going to be different, getting those games at home?
Yeah, number one, playing in Jordan-Hare is a definite advantage in those games for sure. And our roster is one that can compete with those teams. And we've been in the games even the first 2 years, but we haven't found a way to win. And that's one of the secrets, I think, to our success this year, is having guys that we think we've brought in that have the combination of all of it, not just skill set, but this guy's a winner and has been proven to win, and now will help us get over the edge in all of these close games like those two will be.
Coach, we'll go back to our left hand in front of me, in the section in front of me, about 3/4 of the way back over on our left.
Peter Outerkiss from AO.com. You talked about the psychological tests that you and the players have done. What have you learned about yourself from those tests? And Jackson mentioned doing the test on his visit. Is that part of how you guys evaluate transfers?
We definitely try to do that with portal kids, because you're speed dating. You have 24 hours to make a decision, and I like that test. High school kids, it's not as important because, you know, you're going to have time when they get there, and you've had a window of a year or two that you've kind of have an idea of knowing them. We give them that option if they'd like to, but portal kids, we like to see that, and it certainly has revealed to me some areas that I can certainly improve on in communication with particular types of players that are different, and I've tried to kind of put them, I've had my staff kind of put them in buckets, so I have it kind of on a sheet of paper where I know, you know, the way that this kid really prefers to be coached or talked to or addressed, and it really has worked and helpful to me in that, like, my first thought today when I saw Jackson was, say to him this. And that really comes from just the discussions that we've had with people over these profiles, which I think are going to be very helpful to us.
Coach, we'll go over to the section to our right and about halfway back. Straight ahead.
In the middle, Coach. Jacob Goins, ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. You lose a guy like Jarquez Hunter from your running back room, but you have a collection of them in there this year. What do you expect the usage to be? What have you seen from those guys, and kind of what their roles will be through all of that?
Yeah, Damari Alston is probably has not shown his full potential, and we probably hadn't given him credit for as good as he is. You had somebody like Jarquez who was in front of them, and one of the things Jarquez had that was unique was his stamina, and he really could handle a lot of plays, which limited in a lot of games the touches that you'd see for Damari or Cobb last year. So I'm really excited for him to get their shot. I think Cobb has that breakaway speed, the explosiveness, twitchiness. Damari is a real complete back that is a really good runner, great pass protector, good ball catcher, can do it all. And then, you know, we're anxious in camp to see Darrell Robinson, who we recruited but did not get to see practice due to injury during the spring. And I think those three initially will be the ones that get the chance to develop our run game, which you have to have in this league. You have to run the football. And we've been pretty successful at that, you know, both years. And we've got to have that continue, and there's no reason with the offensive line. This is my favorite offensive line when I look at it on paper and experience, size, length. So we better be able to run the football and protect the quarterback, because I think we're pretty talented up there.
Coach, we'll go just right across the aisle in the middle section, Drew, right there to the left.
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
Grace McWhorter from the Next Round. You mentioned this roster and the improvements that you've made, but how do you leverage it currently to be able to compete for playoff berths instead of bowl games this season?
Yeah, you win those close games. I truly believe that in the playoff run, we're going to be in this discussion because I love this team. I think we've got to stay healthy, and you know, we need the ball to bounce our way a couple times this year instead of against us, I'm sure. But that's our full expectation. We embrace the fact that is, you know, what Auburn should be in those talks year in, year out. And it takes a little time to build it, and we've been doing that. And certainly I wish we would have won more games a few times, but the future is very bright in my eyes. And we've been blessed everywhere we've been to win, and I expect nothing less than that at Auburn.
Coach, we'll go over to our right-hand side. Philip.
Philip Marshall, Auburn 247 Sports. Could you just talk about Kendrick Faulk and what he brings on the field and off the field?
Yeah, we owe a lot to kids like Keldrick and Connor Lew, who in 2.5 weeks when we first got the job here, we were able to convince to come join us, and now are bedrocks and leaders of our program, and guys that you depend on every single day to speak truth into the lives of everybody in that locker room about our standards and how we must choose for a period of this year to truly buy into being all in for each other and not just about self. And Connor and Keldrick have two of those best voices. Keldrick, many people don't know, is also one of the most giving and unselfish people I know, and helped one of our current walk-ons the other day with some of his NIL money that was on a hard time trying to stay in school. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is, and we're fortunate to have him.
Coach, we're going to go right here in the front row, just to your right.
Hey, Coach. Michael Bronner at WNSP in Mobile. I was wondering if you could address your relationship with Lane Kiffin. We've talked a lot this week about the antics on social media with the fishing and the golf and all that, but he generally speaks pretty highly of you when he's asked specifically. So what do you think about Lane Kiffin?
I'm not on social media, but I love Lane. He makes me laugh, and I think he's a good football coach for sure. I've loved his family for a long time. You know, Chris, his brother, was with me at the beginning of my journey, and I owe a lot to him, and his wife Angela and Monty would always come and help also when he could. And I think Lane's done a great job. I couldn't get away with doing all the social media, so I admire him. Let's go have fun with it.
Coach, we'll go over to our left-hand side along the wall.
Hey, Coach. Chris Phillips, SEC Unfiltered. You talked a little bit earlier about winning the close games, and that's going to be the difference for you guys this season. What's the work you guys are doing this offseason, going into this season, to change that? Is it as simple as changing over the roster, changing the mentality, changing the culture of when you get to those late moments expecting good things to happen instead of the, oh, here we go again type feeling? Yeah, great question. And, you know, I don't want to spend the rest of my time answering it. I'll try to answer it as short as I can. But that was the first thing you have to do is look at you as a coach and, all right, why did we lose those games? Well, last year's, they came down, those close ones, turnovers. We were the worst in the league at turning the ball over, and we did not score enough touchdowns in the red zone, and we did not play great defense on critical downs, and our field goal unit did not make some critical field goals for various reasons. So how do you improve those? You look at us first coaches. We've done a deep dive into all of that to see, do we need to change anything schematically, and the answer to some of that was yes. We probably need to do less, and then go get more pieces to add to the roster to where when you do call that play, the chances of success go up because better players make better plays. So it's a combination, but first you have to start with us as, you know, what are we doing in those scenarios, if anything, that we need to change.
Coach, we're going to go all the way to the back of the room in front of the goalpost, very last row.
Hey, Coach. Steve Moulton, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. You've mentioned a lot here during this offseason about constructing this team. You like this team a lot. But the pressures of winning, I mean, it's a reality. Tell me what it does to you in particular, Coach, on the pressures of winning. Man,
I anticipate it. I accept it and expect it, and I'm glad I'm at a place that has those expectations. And I think when you've done this a while, you really don't give in to a lot of the pressure stuff. Y'all know that you know, I'm a person of faith, and one of the things that I believe is you know, the story that's going to be written for my life and for Auburn football and everything is going to be written, and I've got to do the best I can to turn that out. But ultimately, I don't really have a seat at the table on the story. But I do know that we won't give in to anything because we actually want the expectations, and this team deserves them. They're good enough to go and meet them. So we welcome them. We're glad that people are actually talking about, man, watch out for this team. This team has done some things with their roster that's made them better. Now we've got to start winning the football games that we have a chance to win.
Okay, we'll stay in this center aisle, right to our left, right there, Drew.
Yes, Coach. Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. Obviously, and as you guys self-scouted, you decided you wanted to go into the portal and improve on the offensive tackle spot. Talk about Xavier Chaplin from Virginia Tech and then Mason Murphy from USC, and how does that kind of transform your O-line led by Connor Lew?
Yeah, we get 3 veterans back in the middle with D. Wade and Connor Lew and Jeremiah. And also get the return of Tutal, who's a 2-year starter for us that can rotate for all of those. And now you have 2 veteran tackles that have played a lot of snaps, that have the length and skill sets that really, I think, improve us from the past 2 years. We've got to bring along a couple of the young ones, and Dre and Tyler Johnston and some of those guys, but feel really, really good about, our first 7 guys.
Really good stuff there from Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze. We'll hear more from Coach Freeze, and he talked about the expectations and the future being bright. Well, the expectations are going to be met with our friends at Stark Exterminators. Stark, they've been family-owned for over 61 years, and that's who the Roberts household trusts for taking care inside of our home, outside of our home. If you're a homeowner or a business owner, right now, you can call Stark, 855-STARK now, or go to StarkExterminators.com. One of their professional team members will come out to your home or your place of business, inspect it thoroughly inside and out, address any current issues that you have, and they're going to have the foresight to look for any issues that could arise down the road. They're going to use the most effective environmental solutions available. That's good for you. That's good for the environment, but it's also good for your family, and that includes your pets. Call Stark today. Don't let those stinging insects, those bugs, ruin the rest of your summer and your outdoor time with your family. 855-STARK now. Go to StarkExterminators.com. That's 855-STARK now or StarkExterminators.com. You get the free home or business pest inspection. And as always, tell them Landrum from Jox sent you. We continue with Coach Hugh Freeze as we continue our coverage here in Atlanta 2025 SEC Media Days. Welcome back in. We are live inside of the College Football Hall of Fame here in downtown Atlanta, just across from Centennial Park. We will return to the podium where Auburn coach Hugh Freeze will continue talking and praising his football team here as we get ready to kick off the 2025 season. More from Coach Hugh Freeze.
Pastor Bro.
Hey, Coach. This is Reagan Scarda of Inside Arkansas. I just wanted to ask specifically about Caleb Wooden, a former starting safety for Auburn who appeared in 10 games. From your perspective, what kind of player is Caleb, and what qualities or skills do you think he could bring the Arkansas program?
Yeah, he had a bright future, and I assume he's still working the way his work ethic was here, and I think he's a solid SEC football player, so I would expect him to contribute.
Okay, we'll go over to the left section, about halfway back, right on the aisle.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Night on South. Are you tired of having to defend playing golf?
You know, I don't. I really hadn't had to defend it. I just, you know, it's something I enjoy doing, but I assure you, it does not take away from my time working to take Auburn back to the top of the college football world.
Hey, Coach, we'll go over here to our left, about the fourth row, here in the half.
Coach Chris Marler, LouisianaSports.net. Last year, Jackson Arnold was behind an offensive line that gave up the most sacks in the entire country, receiving group that had all 5 starters out for most of the SEC season. Coming into this situation now and the elevated, talent around him, what do you think his ceiling can be around this Auburn offense?
Yeah, I love Jackson out of high school. I think everybody did. He was a Gatorade Player of the Year, top quarterback in the country coming out, and boy, he fit everything that I believe in doing offensively, and Coach Nix believes it. We've been together a long time, and he just fits that. So I knew how I felt about him then, but of course you're doing this speed dating here, and things weren't great statistically or whatever performance-wise. So then you have to do a deep dive into why was that, and can I get past whatever that was. And when you evaluate it, you said it. I mean, he had several different play callers, injured offensive line and receivers, and yet when you pull all of his throws, I still saw that there it is. That's what I saw. There it is again. He still has that about him. And then you look at his toughness, and in the Alabama game, putting his team on his back with his legs, and I mean, he had some tough runs. And so I knew he had the toughness to him. And now it was just a matter of, man, let's give this guy a restart and let him regain his swagger and confidence. And I knew that the receiver room we had could assist in that, and it did pretty quickly when he found out, man, I make a good throw in this area, in this one-on-one, our guys are making plays. And I've seen that swagger and confidence come back pretty quickly.
And Coach will go all the way to the back of the room in front of the goalpost.
Coach, Rob Brown, SEC Sideline, Sports Network, Memphis. Auburn hasn't had a cycle like this since post-World War II, 46-50. How important is getting off, let's talk some football, to a win in Waco on Friday night? And talk about the culture, in spite of the 2 years before you, and I don't blame you for that, and then the roster being what it was when you got there, you hadn't had mass exodus. That says something is going right there in the culture.
Yeah. Well, I'll give credit to our assistant coaches and to our leadership council for the culture. I talk about it a lot and set the tone of it and talk about what I'd like for it to look like. But without their help and their assistance, I think it's pretty difficult in this day and time to get that in a large percentage of your team. There is zero hiding from the fact that first game is a big game, and we must embrace that too, and that should help elevate our focus all throughout fall camp, because we're playing a very good football team that has a very good football coach in Dave Aranda.
Okay, we're going to go all the way to the back of the room, the very back.
Brent Drum, OU Insider, Rivals on 3. You talked about watching Jackson and seeing the throws and everything that you thought you saw in high school. You could see little spurts. But what do you see that he improved most on from what you saw at Oklahoma to what you saw through spring and so far throughout your 7-on-7 in this offseason?
Yeah, I don't know that it's fair for me to compare what he was asked to do at Oklahoma to what he's asked to do here. That's difficult, and particularly they had several different play callers. And but when I sat and have conversation with Jackson, it was clear that he had some confusion. And so I would say the one thing that I believe when I see him operate right now is there's very, very few times he is confused on what the expectation is on a given concept, a given play, a given RPO. His decision making has been pretty dang high. And so I think that is what I would say. I mean, he has the same skill set that he had there, but I do think he has a really good understanding of what we're wanting to accomplish, and he has the skill sets to do that.
Coach will stay in the same section in the same general area over to our left.
Hugh, Joe Goodman, AL.com. Was there any strategy in taking the quarterback from Oklahoma, considering you guys opened up the SEC with them, or is that just a bonus?
Yeah, that's I hadn't even thought about that, so I can't say that played any factor into it at all. And it seems like, but that is, in this new world, for us offensive guys, that's a little unsettling, because we lost a quarterback that's at Baylor now too, and we opened up with them the first game. So I don't think there was any strategy in that either, but it does make for an interesting week when you start thinking about, oh heck, if it's the same system and verbiage, that's something you do have to think about.
Coach, we'll go to this other side along the near aisle, right down the center.
Hey, Coach. John Abraham, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Talk about that relationship between Nike and the transition between Under Armour and what we might be seeing in the upcoming season.
Yeah, we're thankful to be partnering with Nike. Mr. Knight and his wife Penny have known them for years, and I've never worn sneakers with a suit before, but felt like it was appropriate to celebrate our turnover and partnership with them that began July 1, and it's been nice to see. As things roll in, it gives us multiple opportunities for our young athletes all across Auburn to go see it and celebrate it multiple times. So I think there's an excitement in the air to be partnering with Nike for sure. And, as far as everything that goes into the decision, man, that's way above me. But our kids are excited, and I know that our partnership with them will go well.
Coach, we'll go back over to my side of the room, about 3/4 of the way back, the teal.
Justin Ferguson, Auburn Observer. Hugh, you've talked about having Alex back at kicker, but the rest of the special teams unit, how much more improved do you think they can be this year? What have you seen from them with Chad now being,
Yeah, first, welcome Chad Lunsford, who we're excited about running our special teams back, and he did a really nice job all spring of getting us installed into the stuff that he's going to do. Fortunate to have Reed Hughes back, to be our snapper. He's been very, very consistent, and obviously he doesn't get a lot of credit until something goes wrong, and that hasn't happened many times for us, and so we're thrilled to have him back. Hudson, coming over from Oklahoma State, very similar to Oscar. Can rugby, can stay in the pocket and kick it. So we feel like we're in solid hands there also. And then having both Alex and Towns handling the kicking duties, we're glad to have Alex back for sure. He was very, very consistent in our year one in field goal attempts. So glad to have him back. I think he plays a key role in us winning those close games that we may not have also. So we're thrilled to have him back. What will make us better is I love this team, and I love our team speed better than in the past, and that makes special teams a lot better when you have faster guys on the team, and we're just from top to bottom. I think we're a little faster and a little longer
and have some more depth that will help on those teams.
That is Coach Hugh Freeze. This is Auburn Day, along with 3 other schools on SEC Media Days. We'll continue to listen to what he had to say in front of the electronic media just in a couple of moments. I want to remind everybody about Abide Roofing. You need to call them today for any roofing needs, 205-922-7134, abideroof.com. That is the website. Solid advice. So whatever they find on your roof, you're going to be able to trust them 100%, just like I did. They put the customer first. From your first call to the final inspection, Abide Roofing makes customer satisfaction their top priority every single time. They give you warranties that give you the peace of mind, from product warranties to craftsmanship guarantees. You're covered for years to come. Get that free roof estimate. Let them come. Take a look at what's going on, whether it's just a couple of shingles need to be replaced or a whole new roof replacement like I had to have done. They can deal with your insurance companies. Call them today, 205-922-7134. That's Abide Roofing at abideroof.com.
Some of the big takeaways from what we heard from Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze. We'll get your reaction on the text line as well. Our coverage of the 2025 SEC Media Days here in Atlanta continues right here on Jox. Little Rocky Top. We'll hear from Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel in just a moment. It's three-man front. Landrum, Pat, Conrad, Van Order here in Atlanta from SEC Media Days 2025. Molly Robinson anchoring things there in the studios of Jox. Always tell you about Dobbs Ford this fall when you're driving to whatever football stadium around the country. You can do it in one of those great Dobbs Fords, whether it's the F-150s, the Mustangs, the Broncos Sports, the Expeditions. Great selection, and right now you're going to get the Ford employee pricing on select makes and models, 90 days until your first payment, and they'll beat any competitor's price. It's the people that make the difference there at Dobbs Ford. You simply go to DobbsFordBirmingham.com. They're located on Parkway East, but you can check out the website today, DobbsFordBirmingham.com. When you get in there, tell the Gochans and the rest of the great team, and they're like a family at Dobbs Ford, that Landrum from Jox sent you. Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel talking post-Nico and the expectations in the upcoming season.
Great to see everybody here today. Hope everybody had a great summer. For us, it's fitting that we're here in Atlanta. Obviously, a lot of our roster comes from right here in the state of Georgia and Atlanta area. But this is also where we kick off here in the Aflac kickoff game here in Atlanta as we get ready to start the season. And extremely appreciative of Gary Stokin, his entire staff, the organization, everything that they've done for us in our preparation to come down here, but also affording us the opportunity to play in this game inside of Mercedes-Benz against a great opponent. I know there's going to be a lot of orange inside of that stadium when we kick off. Vol Nation need to make sure it's the right shade of orange. Embarking into year 5 as I was getting ready for today, I really rewound back to year 1 and how myself and our staff came to Tennessee and the adversity in which we took the program over, and I'm really proud of what we've done, from roster management to some of the recruiting things that we had to deal with. It's how I know that our best is still in front of us. What has crippled other programs in the past, University of Tennessee and our football program has been able to flourish. You look over the last 3 years, 30 wins, the most wins in Tennessee in a stretch of a 3-year span in Tennessee football since the late 90s. You look at the college football playoff, New Year's 6 bowl wins. You look at what we've done in the NFL draft, the best stretch of NFL draft picks at Tennessee in over 2 decades. And while we've been able to have that success on the field, our players have done an unbelievable job inside of our community. Each year we've set a team GPA record in the history of Tennessee football. I'm extremely proud of what our staff and our players have done here in a short amount of time. Defensively, extremely excited. A year ago, you guys maybe heard the quote of me saying that, elite defense is required, and it's our history at the University of Tennessee. It's the home of Reggie White, Al Wilson, Eric Berry. 3 guys that maybe one of, if not the best players at their position in the history of the game. And our defensive staff, led by Tim Banks, but our entire staff has done a great job. A year ago, you look at us, we're top 10 in the country in 6 defensive statistical categories. Since we arrived at Tennessee, lead the league in tackles for loss. Could not be more excited about what we've done, but also the future on that side of the football with the leadership and the players that we have inside of our program. Offensively, we found a lot of ways to win during the course of my career as an offensive coach and as a head coach, through the air and on the ground, and have found a way to be elite, year in and year out. You look at what we've done, 2 SEC Players of the Year in the last 3 years, 1 at quarterback, 1 at running back. Last 2 years, we've led the SEC in rushing. The last 4 years since we arrived, we've rushed for 2,500 yards each year. Never been done in the history of Tennessee football. Really proud of what we've done, but the guys and the staff that we have to continue to grow as we move forward this year into the 25 season. I know when I open it up for questions, the first one will be about our quarterback situation, so I'm going to touch on that a little bit here as I get started. We will have a competition at the quarterback position, 3 guys inside of that room. Really proud of what they've done Joey, since he got there in May, Merklinger and George McIntyre, what those two guys have done since they've been on campus. But I'm really proud of the steps that they've taken through the summer in developing relationships, rapport with the guys around them, their ability to compete in a positive way with each other in the meeting room and on the field, their ability to have leadership traits and to continue to grow in that. And I'm really excited about getting on the field with those guys. We've found a way to win with a lot of different quarterbacks throughout my career on the offensive side of the ball, and we're going to find a way to win with the guy that earns the starting spot as we go through training camp here in August. We have 3 players that are with us today that resemble everything that we want inside of our program, from an accountability standpoint, leadership, mental and physical toughness, who they are inside of the community, and how they impact their teammates on a day-to-day basis. Linebacker Arian Carter, that is a dynamic player. Defensive tackle Bryson Eason from Memphis. He's in year 6 with us, and really proud of the steps that he's taken individually as a person and as a player, and he's ready to play his best ball. And then tight end Miles Kitzelman, that a year ago came into our program. There's nobody that puts more work into every single day and impacts the teammates around him in a more positive way. Great leader for us. As we move forward here into the 25 season, I'm going to rewind to last December. Everybody inside of our program didn't like the taste in their mouth as the season finished up in late December. That's been a part of spurring us on throughout each quarter of our off season. It's been a part of how intentional and how focused that we've been throughout the course of the summer. And I'm excited to go compete with these guys when we get here to training camp. For us to take another step and to continue to grow as a program, it has come down, and this is something that we've been very diligent inside of our program this offseason, the accountability to yourself and to your teammates every single day, guys doing their job at an elite level, building the leadership that you need to have to control and command your unit and your position group, and ultimately the way that we're going to compete every single day together. Our young guys don't have time to be young as we get to the fall, and that's been a part of the message that our leadership has applied to the young guys inside of our program. I'm extremely excited about the young talent and the young competitive traits that we have inside of it, but we got to have a great training camp here to go be the best version of ourselves as we get ready for the season. Excited to open up camp. Our fan base is nothing short of the best in college football. You look at our season ticket waiting list of over 24,000 fans, our home record 20-1 over the last 3 seasons. That's been a huge part of us continuing to create momentum in recruiting, and couldn't be more excited to get ready to go tee this thing up with these guys as we get to September. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, so Tennessee coach Josh Heupel says it's an open quarterback competition. It's not Joey Aguilar's job just yet. And he mentioned the other 2 quarterbacks there in that room. Well, there is a room in downtown Homewood. It's actually a studio, and it's Mandu. A Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness, boutique fitness, if you will, but I can tell you it's results fitness. Get into Mandu. They'll put you in a suit. They'll hook you up to a machine that sends electric pulses to various parts of your body, different muscle groups, whatever you're trying to work on. Mandu, it has worked for me and so many of the Great Jox listeners. The revolutionary approach that's all FDA approved is because of that technology and those cables that they're going to hook to. I don't know how it all works. I know it does work, but it takes 15 minutes. It's a 15-minute workout. It's equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. Check them out. Downtown Homewood, MANDUU.com. Your first visit is free. They'll let you try Mandu for yourself, and I guarantee you're going to get results, and I can almost guarantee you're going to love it. Check out Mandu.
The things we see at SEC Football Media Days, we are literally from the corridor that you can make a left and you can go to the facilities. And Kirby Smart, just like every human being, needs to go to the bathroom. And as he was rounding the corner, he just bumped into the starting safety for the University of Texas Longhorns. And they had a nice back and forth, very was a very cordial conversation.
Conrad, will you go get audio? I want to hear the bathroom conversation. This is right up your alley. Come on.
You want the trickle?
No, I want the trickle. I want post trickle.
And now they've
washing
posted.
hands.
Now they've posted a fine officer from the Georgia State Police.
They really have.
They posted one right out there. So I don't know if anybody's going to be allowed to go in there. But
a quick note though on the.
I don't think he can deny anybody from having to use the facilities.
The Texas safety we saw. Did you notice his tie?
Yeah.
It has the initials of the Texas flood victims on his tie. Very
wow.
cool gesture.
Yes,
very,
it is.
Very cool gesture.
Very much so. We will continue with our coverage, day 2 of SEC Football Media Days in Atlanta. This is Three Man Front on Jox. All right, so we have an update.
Conrad Van Order.
The state police officer
has zip ties around his wrist.
I hope everything's okay. Because, hey, wait a second. Tyler, come here.
Yeah.
Put him on quickly. All right, we're gonna hit you up real quick. I wasn't like tracking what you were doing, but you just came from the facilities, right?
Yes.
Did you see anybody famous in there?
Well, it was Matt Flynn and Kirby Smart.
Okay.
And they were both in the doorway, and I had to say,
Excuse
me, Kirby. So I got to walk around. Last year was Nick Saban.
Okay.
The same thing happened with Nick Saban last year. Now, yeah.
Did it really?
I guess I had the awkward bathroom encounters at this thing. Who knew?
Okay. Well, I was just curious because he's been in there for a minute.
Well, he's outside now just staring at his phone.
Oh, he's hiding is what he's doing.
Going
I
on
was
in
worried he
Georgia
had the
these days or what?
tacos from the media thing. That's all.
I'll get him over here. We'll investigate.
There he is right there.
Oh,
There he is right
he's
there.
good.
Yeah. You think he washed his hands?
They look pretty dry to me. I don't think he did.
Tyler McComas from KREF Radio.
Thank you, Tyler.
See, we should have played the breaking news sounder.
I will say he walked in with no glasses and walked out with glasses on.
I'm getting people texting me.
I don't know if you
left
want to
and-
read too much into that, but
people texting me left and right asking me about what the status of Kirby's.
He might have gone in there for an extended visit and got on his phone while he was in there and had to put on his readers like I did.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
All right, now we got Brent Norsworthy, the Southern gentleman. What's he doing?
No, he's trying to shake the hand. Oh, he shakes the
Oh,
hand.
he doesn't know that wasn't just washed.
He doesn't. We'll have to tell. Here, hand this to Brett. Brett,
Brett, you're going to want this.
Brett,
you're going to want this hand
Yeah, this hand
sanitizer.
sanitizer.
He just went to the bathroom.
And he didn't wash his hand.
He
Oh,
washed
he
his
did?
hands?
He did.
Is your hands wet? You feel? Okay.
Well, that just really ruins the narrative that we were running with.
Yeah, we
here.
were trying to run with a different narrative, but thanks, Brett.
Thanks.
See that once again,
This
he's
is what
living
happens.
up to his Southern
Yeah.
gentleman
Yeah.
reputation.
Well, he's an honest Christian man.
He's not like us. That's true.
It is.
That's true.
Did you see the horrible story about the 114-year-old marathon runner getting hit? Yeah. 114, and he got hit crossing the street.
I still say, good life.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Great life. He picked up
114?
marathon running at 89.
113 and a half years of really good life.
Yeah. But you make it to 114, you don't think you're going to get clipped by a car.
No.
It happens, though.
It does.
We don't know how it's going to end.
No, tomorrow's never promised.
I've got a few ideas how I want it to end.
Not that way? No, not that way.
Here, you want?
Not in a marathon.
Here, get you a spray. Come on, everybody's doing it. All right, come on. There you
Everybody's
go.
doing
We're trying to take care of you.
More where that came
You've
from.
got a lot.
friend.
You got a lot of Thursdays on the three-man front radio show coming up.
We need you healthy for football season.
Yeah. There you go.
You're almost halfway to the torpedo guy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For sure. Brett Norsworthy. Has anybody seen Arch? No, we saw a picture of Arch.
Yes, I've seen pictures of him. I tried to go find him earlier, and I could not find him. Oh, are you?
Here,
go
get
Yankees.
back and forth.
Hey, did you hear that? Did you hear that? He's going to the Yankees Braves Friday night.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm going.
Who you pulling for? You're a Cardinals fan.
myself.
Huh. Are you going to pull for a team? Just
Not really.
watch a great baseball team in the Yankees.
I love baseball.
Take
It's
on
my
a-
favorite.
I know.
It's still my favorite. I love what most people don't. Y'all appreciate it, but I like the endlessness of it, the minutia of it, the everydayness of it. I miss the box score page as much as anything in my life.
Yes.
I still go to them, but that's different.
Yeah.
You know, doing it on your phone. I loved when it was all there and the pitching matchups, and I'd underline who I was for that day. You know, all kind of working the Cardinal math. But I love baseball.
You turned me and Pat onto that immaculate grid.
Oh, you will curse me in 6 weeks over it. It's addictive.
Molly Robinson would love it.
Yeah, we're going to turn Molly onto it because she's like us. She loves stats and stuff like that.
But you don't want Yankee MVP Mickey Mantle. You want Elston Howard.
Yeah.
You want rare. The
You
rarity-
want Oscar Gambles.
You want Nacho Alvarez.
You want All-Star Game starter from Memphis, Charlie Lee.
Yeah. Oh, wow. All right, Brett Norsworthy, we will hear him extended tomorrow on this program. Bye, Brett.
Was this on the air?
Yes, it was on the air.
I'm glad I wasn't cursing.
I've never heard you curse.
Well, I do.
Welcome to the final hour. This is Three-Man Front right here on Jox. Day 2 SEC Football Media Days. Coach Hugh Freeze spent a good bit of time at the podium and all the different rooms, electronic media, print media, talking about this upcoming season for the Auburn Tigers. He is embracing the pressure that has now been fallen upon his shoulders of this Auburn football program, trying to get back to respectability, a competitive program in the Southeastern Conference. He says he's embracing the role, and he loves this team. So we'll see exactly what happens in Waco, Texas on that weekday night as Jackson Arnold and the Auburn Tigers will take on the Baylor Bears there in Waco.
I think what you heard from Hugh Freeze is more of what Auburn fans wanted to hear. Now, hearing it and seeing it, obviously two different things, but and I know that this was taken out of context, but when he was in Birmingham at the Regions tournament and he made the bowl game comment, that didn't settle too well. But today, really coming with a lot more vigor in those expectations, and they should be there. It's in year 3.
All right, so one of the things that Hugh Freeze has been criticized by some on this radio show has been the amount of golf that he has played. This was Steve Spurrier. He did a podcast with Pat Dooley 24 hours ago where he addresses the fact that Hugh Freeze is playing a lot of golf, and this is coming from a coach that played a lot of golf himself. This is Steve Spurrier on the golfing fiasco and controversy at Auburn.
Yeah, he didn't win ball games. Yeah, I think he went 5-7 last year. Is that correct? Yeah, he got to do better than that at Auburn. And but they have good players there. Yeah, but they're in a sort of little rut. But they could come out of it. But I'm gonna tell you what, this SEC is maybe a little tougher than it was back in the old days.
Well, he took a little shot there at the beginning, but the 5-7. You got to do better than that, but you have to.
Yeah, you got to.
I mean, that goes without saying, but I knew that Steve Spurrier was not going to criticize anybody about golf. Speaking of golf, we're going to talk to Ty Richardson in just a moment here on the program from ESPN Radio in Arkansas, but I want to remind everybody about my zero turn that I got about a month and a half ago from Artec Tractor in Jasper, and it has been an absolute game changer with me and my yard. And right now, the Mahindra 1120 tractor with loader is only $187 per month with zero money down. That is 0% interest for 84 months right now at Artec Tractor in Jasper. This is a 20-horsepower tractor with four-wheel drive, perfect for yard work and small hunting property work. You need to get by and see those great people. I'm talking about Jeremy and Greg and all the guys there at Artec Tractor, just north of Jasper on Highway 5. Go to their website, check them out at artectractor.com. The next guest on this radio program probably plays as much golf as Hugh Freeze does on a daily basis. And I'm talking about
he should be on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah, Ty Richardson joins us here on the program. Hey, Ty.
What's up, guys?
How'd you hit him this morning?
Didn't get out there this morning. The goal was to play on Sunday. We just got in late flight, so we were going to play.
Wait a second. You have played no golf here in Atlanta.
You didn't even bring your little mat and put it out in Centennial Park and hit the wiffles?
Tommy's here. The boss is here, Pat. So you kind of have to.
Oh, where's he? I'd love to talk to him.
He's down he's down the way. We can't.
Does he know your affinity for the game of golf? And
he has one too, but he likes to think that he works more than me when it comes to these type of events, which is probably true.
Hugh Freeze plays a lot with his boss, John Cohen. That's what you do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you ever get married, Ty, if your wife takes up golf, that helps.
Yeah, we're still searching for that department a little bit. My buddies, I had one of my
on the fence.
Yeah, on the fence. One of my buddies' wives asked me this question this past week, and she goes, "Did you play a divorceable amount of golf this week?" And so I asked her, I was like, "Hunter, what do you consider divorceable?" Anything over 2, she said, is divorceable. I was like, "Yep," and then I would be divorced right now.
See, that's the problem he's got though. She doesn't play, does she?
No, she does not. But they also have a new.
My wife's a gamer. She'll play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the shoulder, by the way? Last time
It's not great.
Okay.
It's not great. I've tried to correct my follow-through.
Okay.
I went 40-47 the other day.
Let's go.
No, well, I've got 2 different kinds of lidocaine in my bag.
Oh.
Yeah. So
that's not fun.
Let's talk football. What you been hearing over the course of the last 2 days here?
I mean, I heard Brian Kelly talking about academics, and we know they're proud of that at Louisiana State University. You mentioned Hugh Freeze. Connor asked him about his golf game, and I know he's tired about that. I mean, the close games for Auburn, I mean, Arkansas fans know it all too well. They have been close. I mean, you look at the Alabama losses and just some of the games. It's not like they're getting killed, but that's not acceptable for Auburn. For Alabama, it's Pat, we were texting about it last night. Obviously a new guard with Kalen DeBoer and what they've established here in year one in Tuscaloosa heading to year two. This is just a weird situation, I think, heading into this week, because I always had this idea of who I was picking to win the national championship. We're 2 days into the season. I still don't know who's going to win the SEC. Not like this would change that, but it's still kind of weird.
Okay, so this is kind of new. This just came out within the last hour. And the USA Today network you've got the Knoxville News, you got the Tuscaloosa News, I think maybe the Baton Rouge paper. All of those are part of the USA Today network. And their group of writers, they have voted their 2025 preseason all-SEC football team, and they also have voted the rankings of all the teams. Now, and this might be a precursor of what we're going to see later this week from the rest of us media that get to vote. According to the USA Today network, their group of writers voted Texas to win the Southeastern Conference. Coming in at number 2 was Georgia, 3 LSU, Bama was number 4, South Carolina 5, Ole Miss 6, A&M 7, Oklahoma 8, Florida 9, Tennessee 10, Auburn 11, Missouri 12, Arkansas 13, Vandy 14, Kentucky and Mississippi State round out the 16-team conference. Out of that list that I just gave you, and that's from the USA Today network, what stands out to you? Ones that shock you, ones that think, okay, that team is not getting enough love? Where would it be?
I think if Kentucky's where
There's
they are.
the list.
Okay, if Kentucky's where they are on the list, I think Stoops has been there since 2012. I think November that year. He's going to be gone. If Auburn's there, I would think you guys know more than I do.
Now they got Auburn 11, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at 11.
Is 11 in this year? Is that 8-4?
Point. That's a great point.
It could be.
That is a weird thing. I think for Arkansas, I mean, that's where they're going to wind up this week. Maybe lower. They might be at 14. Vanderbilt, I know Pavia was in here earlier this week in the Tux. He's talking a little trash at like, you go at Tennessee and you go at Alabama. I mean, you're digging your own grave in these predominantly dominant programs. So that sounds about right. I think Texas is the favorite. You think about the defensive line there. I know they lost a lot of pieces on offense, but I mean, everyone's fallen in love with Arch before they've seen him play a full SEC game. So
as you see where Arkansas is listed, do you think that's fair? Now they're not giving us the record; they're saying that's the order of finish that they believe.
6 and 6-ish. Yeah, I think that's and that pains me to say so. You know, Arkansas, they haven't been over 500 in the Southeastern Conference since 2015, and that was the year they lost to Texas Tech and Patrick Mahomes and Toledo and Kareem Hunt.
That's a stat. That might be the stat of the day. 2015.
Yeah, you got to go all. They were 5-3 that year.
Quarterbacks. That's where it all starts. A member of our, media brethren came out with his list of ranking the quarterbacks of the SEC. He's got Taylor Green 4th. No disrespect. I was there. We hung out that day. I saw him up close and personal. I disagree with him being 4th. Where is Taylor Green when it comes to SEC quarterbacks heading into the season?
I think he's in the top 8. I mean, if he's anywhere near 4, they're going to have a 7-5, maybe 8-4 type of football team. But I mean, the deal is, Lander, he's going to be better, but they have no one to throw to. It's kind of the opposite. So I think if Auburn fans and even Coach Freeze, if he could snap his fingers and trade Jackson Arnold for Taylor Green, he would. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but Arnold has people to throw the ball to. He didn't have it in Norman last year, and that's where I keep wondering about. It's like, yeah, he didn't have a great year in Norman, but he lost, 4 of his top 6, 5 of his top 6 wide receivers, and that Auburn wide receiver core is stacked. And so you combine that with trying to figure out Freeze's system in year 1 for him. But, yeah, Taylor, I think he's top 8, but top 4. I mean, I told Mike that. I was like, man, you got him at 4. That's wild. But he is. That'd be awesome. I mean, it means we're some exciting football.
I know we're kind of ping-ponging back and forth. This was a stat Tyler McComas joining us earlier and from Oklahoma City, and he said, and I didn't realize this, that Oklahoma offensive line gave up more sacks than anybody in the country. So I don't know if we've seen a complete fair assessment of Jackson Arnold just yet, and that remains to be seen. But for Sam Pittman and kind of the sentiment, I know that John Calipari, he did exactly what Hog fans wanted him to do and finishing out strong. Where is the fan sentiment there in Hogville on one Sam Pittman? I love the guy as a person.
And that's what most people go to. But when you look at 6-6, 4-8, 6-6, the last 3 regular seasons this year, I mean, you got non-conference games against Notre Dame, Memphis, Arkansas State. Arkansas State, I don't know what the equivalent would be in Alabama, but it's like one team has wanted to play the other team for half a century, and they finally get to. So while that lesser team is not as good, you're playing in Little Rock. It's like you're playing in Birmingham, basically. So it's a weird dynamic. But I mean, to me last year I was like, okay, they make a bowl, he's going to be retained. I think if they go 6-6 there, he's putting himself in jeopardy of not being the Arkansas coach. And I don't know, guys, I don't know what it's like financially in Auburn or Tuscaloosa right now, but I don't think it's that good in Fayetteville. It's not good for anyone because everyone's having to let people go, and I know there's ADs having to make some hard decisions, but I just don't, whether it's the foundation, the athletics department overall, I don't think things are right in Fayetteville money-wise.
All right, so going down that road in regards to the financial repercussions, if Pittman were to be let go, how much now that so much is being put in with John Calipari in the basketball program, how much would that play into the idea of maybe we're going to have to give him another year before we cut loose with Sam Pittman?
I think that plays into it. I don't know, like when you stack up Kentucky's NIL and their coaching staff and what Pope and all those guys are spending versus what Cal. I mean, it's significant. You look at behind the Arkansas bench during basketball games, there's a lot of coaching staff.
A lot of analysts. Yeah.
And not that there wasn't under Eric Musselman, but the investment that John Tyson and Warren Stevens made, you were talking about money earlier, Landrum, is significant. And that means from an athletic standpoint, there's a significant, again, I don't know how much of an increase, but definitely an increase. So that plays a role. Each situation's different. Like, obviously, Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates have taken Auburn and Alabama basketball to new heights here in the last five or so years. They went to 3 Sweet 16s under Muss. They went to another one under Cal. Arkansas basketball's traditionally, Sutton, Richardson had good coaches, and now they're hoping that this guy, but that, like you were talking about, requires money to spend. So it's a balance.
You know, it's funny. Every time we've done this event, you come in and sometimes you drink the Kool-Aid and you get one of those teams that everybody's got. There's a lot of momentum behind. And then on the other hand, you maybe start fading some teams where prior to this week or coming here to this event, you maybe thought of a little bit differently. That team for me maybe this week, and I've known about post-Nico, but I kind of fading Tennessee right now, just emotionally and thinking about it going into the season. What about for you? Who is that team that maybe you thought differently of 2 months ago and this week not so much?
So I think when I always go back to who's on Arkansas' schedule, Texas I think is going to be really good. I think that when you look at those other road games, they'll go to Knoxville, they'll go to LSU, and they'll also go to Oxford. I think LSU has a chance to be a national champion, or they have a chance to just have another bad defense and be an 8-4, 9-3, 10-2 type of team, which again could result in go to the playoff and see what happens. But I think for me, like I kind of agree with you about Tennessee. I think Heupel made the right call.
Yes.
For not just, it's like college, like when an owner doesn't pay a guy in the National Football League a certain amount of money, and the owner's like, thank you for not resetting the bar.
Right.
I think that kind of set the bar, and like, hey, if you try and do this in the offseason or leading into spring or whatever, unfortunately, we got to make a hard decision. And so I would say Tennessee, like Aguilar coming over from Appalachian State, kind of the trade out from UCLA. I think it's a situation where, well, I know that Tennessee fans are happy that a guy wants to be there in Knoxville. I don't know if they traded up. Not that Nico was just this world beater. I think he was a little bit overhyped, but I think that Tennessee could be onto something there, and I would probably agree with you on that.
We will continue our conversation with ESPN Radio in Arkansas. Wonderful part of the world. Ty Richardson will continue on here on Three Man Front on Jox. It is 18 minutes after the top of the hour. This is Three Man Front on Jox. Thanks for tuning us in. Our coverage continues. We're almost halfway through SEC Football Media Days. It's kind of crazy. 8 teams down, 8 more to come, including the Alabama Crimson Tide tomorrow. Joining us here at Digital Drive. You like the name of this, Ty? Digital Drive instead of Media Row or whatever?
Radio Row.
Me and Stats had a big, and obviously Stats part of the older guard that's been doing it for a while, but it's like, I'm not calling it Digital Drive. No. I know there's digital elements to what we do now in sports. It's Radio Row. That's where you cut your teeth. That's where I cut my teeth. I'll calling it Radio Row in 30 years.
I was telling the story to these guys. I'll never forget, like, my first ever SEC Media Days in 1993 at the Medical Forum in downtown Birmingham. In the radio room, there were 6 of us. 6. And a coach would come in. There was not a table set up like we're sitting behind. And they basically would just grab a chair and pull up, and we'd be sitting kind of like in a semicircle. Mm-hmm. And we would just be kibitzing and shooting the bull. And then it was, okay, well, let's start talking football. I mean, it was so laid back. And the coaches were very open in regards to what they told us. Hey, come on down, watch practice. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then now, you got to go through 17 areas of security just to get in to cover the event. And then you got the coaches that are so guarded that they won't tell you anything. So it just going from where it used to be to like walking around this and seeing what do we used to think about 200-300 people up here?
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
You could even go back to, let's say, pre-2020, where it still felt like much of the same elements and I don't even know the word I'm looking for.
Pizzazz?
Maybe pizzazz or chutzpah. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were you the one that asked me about the Skyriders tour?
Yeah, on Sunday night.
Yeah, I was obviously that was.
Did you ask him if he was on it?
Well, no,
Did he?
No, he prefaced it. He did not like slam me for being an old guy.
Good grief, I think I said it like this. I was like, I don't think you would, but did you? I kind of walked out. I
did not take offense to it at all. Now, because believe it or not, Paul Feinbaum, when he came to Birmingham and he was covering the Alabama and Auburn for the Birmingham Post-Herald newspaper, that was in the early 80s. They were just wrapping up the Skyriders tour, in which all the riders used to get on a plane and they would literally fly around the conference to the different, Now, keep in mind, back then, the SEC had 10 teams.
Yeah.
A little bit different. And then, of course, as you know, 1992 was when Arkansas and South Carolina joined the league. And
they
then
screwed it all up.
Then it was Texas A&M and Mizzou, and then Oklahoma and Texas. So it's crazy to think that, the league has jumped up that much, but it is definitely changed.
Can I share a quick story about Paul?
Absolutely. He was on your show today, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, he was really nice. You obviously have 100 of them. I have 1. So I was a junior in college at the U of A. SEC Nation.
That's the University of Arkansas for our listeners, not the University of Alabama.
The lesser A, as I should say, here on Alabama Sports Radio. But we're there, and I'm a junior in college at the time. And Pat, I actually, when I reminisce, were you producing that show back in 2015?
Yeah, that was one of my last years.
So we actually communicated. There's probably an old email through my student email back in the day, and I just remember this talking to him today. You allowed me way back when, 10 years ago, to sit behind the scenes with my buddy Alex Rice, and we just kind of watched Paul. And then after, Paul was like, hey, I'm a junior at the U of A. I'm interested in sports radio. I've been working. And we actually bonded. It's kind of, don't need to get sad and morbid, but like his dad passed away when he was young. My mom passed away when I was young. So I didn't want to take, y'all had a show and do it. So I wanted to take 2 minutes and leave, but he spent 10 minutes talking
Absolutely.
with me. Yeah. And I was like, and he gets a lot of flack, and some, I disagree on some of what he says, but I still, 10 years later, that email, the correspondent that you did, which I'm just now remembering as of today, and then also just for him to take time out of stay was really cool.
He is a very gracious individual, and I've seen it firsthand at different airports, with people wanting to come up, and he is always willing to talk to he never forgot where he came from. even all of the success that he's achieved.
Well, it's interesting because obviously we've been put in some very interesting situations in the history of me and Paul doing things and being at games, because we were lightning rods. We would do things that a lot of people, half the fan base in the state of Alabama, they would applaud us. The other half was ready to kill us. We had death threats. We had to have armed security guards that would drive us or follow us in unmarked cars out of the radio station.
That's why Pat has a moat outside of his house to this very day.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. We had fan bases that when Google Earth became a thing, they were giving satellite images of our houses and how you could actually get onto the property of the houses. Oh, yeah. I mean, this was serious stuff. And we'd be at Iron Bowl games, and I'll never forget when we had caught wind before the 1996 Iron Bowl in Legion Field that Gene Stallings was going to retire. And so we had done a pregame show on our radio station, and we actually were kind of hinting around that, that's kind of the word. And I'll never forget, we left our radio show. Paul did a hit on a local TV station, and as we were leaving the TV station, a lot of people obviously had heard. Now, this is before the internet had completely exploded. People had heard the radio show and that there was some indications that Gene Stallings was going to step down, which was going to be a bombshell. And there were Alabama fans throwing batteries and things at me and Paul as we were leaving, because they were trying to, obviously because they thought that this was something that there's no way
that y'all had concocted
that Gene Stallings was stepping down after the Iron Bowl. Like that's not going to happen. Gene Stallings is 4 years removed from winning, a national championship. This cannot be happening, or whatever the case may be. And it turned out, as soon as the game was over with, Gene Stallings went behind the microphone and announced that it was November 24th, 1996, that he was stepping down. But, there was those type of situations where, it's crazy. But then you go to places like Bourbon Street covering a national championship game, and people just and this was before the days of the cell phones, people would still have their disposable cameras and stuff like that, and they wanted to take pictures with him.
That's awesome.
It's just, but like Landrum said, it's I can go on and on. It's there's a certain side to Paul that you get every day from 2 to 6, and
there's a side that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
And now
it's a really good side.
Now Conrad has taken up the amount of people that want to take pictures of him at y'all station, right?
Well, I mean, mainly it's because
I wish he was here to rebuttal.
It's all the weird stuff that Conrad likes to do that makes people very uncomfortable, and they see hey, let's take a picture with this weird kid.
With this weird kid.
I'm excited. I let him down last year with karaoke. I'm not going.
Now tomorrow night's the big night, right?
Yeah. Got to come through.
When the grown-ups leave town, you guys are going to go let your hair down.
Well, with because y'all are leaving.
Yeah, we're leaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're doing a media thing where they gave us Atlanta United tickets.
Yeah, going to the soccer game, right?
Yeah. And Tommy, who just walked by, he's going to the All-Star game with our buddy Tom Murphy, who used to write in Alabama.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
now writes for the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. So they're going to that tonight, and I think we're going to the soccer game tomorrow, and then karaoke after that.
You going to go to the thing just down the
the
way?
That's free food and alcohol, Landrum. Come on.
Oh, I didn't know that there was free food.
Oh.
Okay.
That's tonight, right?
That's tonight.
We can. You're a what? You're a Major League Baseball. Who do you pull for?
Royals. Everyone in Arkansas is a Cardinals fan, and I just didn't. Royals were terrible.
That's fine. You can be on Team American League over there with Conrad, your buddy.
Yeah.
Who's his team? I don't even know.
Look at his shirt.
Look at his shirt.
Oh, is he a Yankees fan?
See, it changes things, doesn't it?
Oh, man. Yeah, so Bubba Carpenter, who does baseball broadcasts for Arkansas, he played for the Yankees organization at one point. So he's one of the few guys that I like that's ever been a part. I don't cheer for the Red Sox, but I have to pick one power. It'd be the Red Sox over there.
Hey, congratulations. I'll tell our listening audience because I got the text when you did it. Congratulations on the hole-in-one.
Thanks, buddy.
I hate you. I've been playing golf a long time and still haven't got one.
Well, that's the thing about it.
How many times did it bounce? Did it backspin into the hole? Tell us about it.
Here's the deal. So the pin, you could see the pin, but you couldn't see the hole because it was covered up by a hill. And so some guys at the place we were playing were on 16, and I'm on 15. I hit it good. And they start doing how you say and one, like it looks like and one in basketball. And I thought they're guys that like to mess with me from time to time. I thought they were messing with me, but they weren't. And so
were they going crazy?
they just go, and then we started jumping up and down on the cheap tee box. Lost the club. A week later, my buddy was like, I found it in my bag. So the club is retired. I've ordered a new one, the same brand. The ball is sitting in my room. Funny enough, my two of my best friends, they got married, and they gave me an oyster for the rehearsal dinner, and it's sitting in the oyster.
Very nice.
Right now.
What
So,
was the distance?
138 yards.
Okay.
So the thing is, you're a better golfer. There's so many, and I was like, there's almost like a level of guilt because there's a lot of better golfers out there that don't get lucky.
Don't feel guilty, man.
I used to play a lot of golf.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it, enjoyed it, and just because life happens and you get married, you have kids, all of a sudden their activities, and I just don't play anymore. But I was fortunate enough, I played on my middle school golf team. And my partner for the day, who was a teammate of mine, actually had a hole-in-one.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's the only time of all my years of playing a lot of golf with some like really, really good golfers, like scratch golfers, I've never witnessed one in person. I go back to that middle school match that afternoon, my teammate, and bounced it in, and I was like, oh, my gosh.
I've witnessed 3. One was with my friend who's also my pastor. His first hole-in-one.
Oh, that's cool.
The next one was a guy. We were playing like some kind of tournament, and it was a guy on the other team. That sank us for the day. And then
emotional just absolutely destroyed
the third one was the coolest, and it was not like regulation play, but it was a practice round of the Masters. It was a skip hole, and Martin Keimer skipped it across the pond 3 times.
That's cool.
Bounces on the green and takes this long roll and goes into the hole.
It's electric. I mean, it's electric when that happens. I don't ever expect it to happen again, but the one time it did, I'm happy for it.
My dad played with a guy, and the guy, it was long off the tee. He was a big old meathead, but had a dad 2 different tournaments, had hole-in-ones where he won cars. Man. The guy that he was playing with, not my dad.
We have a radio host that used to work at our station that occasionally comes on. His name's Grant Hall, and Grant, I believe it was a Cadillac. He had a hole, and he's been playing golf forever, but also won one like your dad's friend. That's why. That's so cool.
That is really cool. That is Ty Richardson, one of our dear friends. We love to bother, have on the show, and he comes into town, hangs out, plays some golf. Him and Conrad will be tripping the light fantastic tomorrow night doing their lip sync competition there at the karaoke.
Have you heard the rumor that SEC Media Days could be back in Birmingham next year?
I asked you the SEC baseball tournament.
Like, I want to preface it. It's not been announced.
No, I told you no shot, and I'm holding firm. I do not think it will ever be back in Birmingham.
And if it is, though, we got the perfect place. We won't say it on the air, but you will enjoy it, and so will I.
Okay, sweet. Well, I've heard 3. Oh, actually, I've heard one other, Orlando. The one y'all tell me on this, like Houston and Austin, being that like they want to get in Texas so bad, and they've got it with A&M, they've got it with Texas. I don't know if they'd put it in an SEC school's hometown. I know they did in Nashville, but Vanderbilt's not really Nashville.
I could tell you could probably say goodbye to a lot of Florida and Alabama and other media that would go cover it.
Was attendance down last year in Texas?
I think it was about comparable to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was because what happened, you didn't have a lot of, obviously, by adding Texas and Oklahoma, you didn't have those media outlets going to Nashville because they had no reason to. Whereas last year you had a lot of Oklahoma, and more Texas, as opposed to
Let's do it, and this is so SEC. Let's do it at Pigeon Forge at Dollywood.
Well, you mentioned Orlando. There was a rumor I heard from somebody that there was an idea kicked around at least the last couple of years that SEC Media Days could be held at Disney World.
ESPN would love that.
They've got conventions. I mean, you think about the convention centers and the stuff that
well, I mean, since this conference is owned by Disney anyway, then
do it at Epcot.
Why not?
And the worldwide sport. I've never been there. Is the
Wide World of Sports.
Wide World of Sports.
Yeah.
Do it there.
Yeah,
I'm down.
All right, Ty, take care of our boy tomorrow night, okay?
Will do.
All right, that's Ty Richardson, ESPN Radio, Arkansas. More from Day 2 SEC Football Media Days on Jox. It is 1:36 in the Magic City. Welcome back. This is Three Man Front on Jox. We're live in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Eastern Time Zone, 2:36. Man, this time equation thing's messed me up for some reason.
You're not the only one, Pat. There's some other people here that are guilty of.
Yeah, there's been a few
that.
people that we've scheduled, and the morning show has scheduled, and because East Coast, Central Time Zone, things of that nature, it's been kind of problematic. But I will tell you one thing, that the air conditioning system here has to be a train because it has kept us nice and cool over the course of the last 2 days, Molly. And I know Train is a very, very fine company and a wonderful air conditioning company to deal with.
Yeah, so as we know, if you're in Alabama or if you're even in Georgia, the heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at train.com.
Okay, so this is officially talking season as we get ready for the 2025 football season. I brought it up earlier. Wanted to get Conrad's take on this, and Molly, you can chime in as well if you guys agree or disagree. But the USA Today Sports Network, they have listed their preseason all-SEC football predictions. And if you're not familiar with the USA Today Network, that includes the Knoxville News Sentinel. It includes the Tuscaloosa News, the Montgomery Advertisers, tons of newspapers across the Southeastern Conference footprint. So they have predicted that Texas is going to win the Southeastern Conference Championship. They come in with the most votes at number 1 and 12 votes to win the championship at the conference. They got them playing Georgia in the SEC championship game. Coming in at number 3 was LSU. 4 was Alabama. 5 was South Carolina, Ole Miss 6, Texas A&M 7, Oklahoma 8, Florida 9, Tennessee 10, Auburn comes in at number 11, followed by Mizzou, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Mississippi State. Now again, that is from the USA Today Network's group of writers who voted on this. Conrad, Texas, Georgia 1-2. Bama comes in at 4.
Yeah, I don't see, now I'm too quiet today. Yesterday I was too loud. Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of that. I'll be honest, on whenever we cast our ballots tomorrow or Thursday, I would have I'll just tell you right now, I'm going Texas 1, Bama 2, LSU 3, Georgia 4, because I'm kind of with you. I understand it's Kirby, it's Georgia, they can rebuild, but I'm going to take the teams that I feel a little more confident in right now. And we're splitting hairs the rest of the way there, right? South Carolina at 5. I mean, okay, I could see that. Same thing with, Ole Miss being down there. I would have Auburn a little higher. They were 11th. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think I would have Auburn somewhere in the 8 to 9 range to go along with that. But Florida's very low as well. I would say, if I'm, to be completely honest, this is because I like Lagway a little more than Sellers. I'm a little higher on him this year. I would move Florida up, and I would probably move South Carolina down a little bit.
5 through 11, with the exception of Tennessee, because I'm fading them this week a little bit. I think it's
incredibly difficult.
Yeah, and it's dependent on the schedule. Some schedules are tougher than others, but
see, that's where, like, Oklahoma, for example, right? Do I think Oklahoma is going to be a better team than Tennessee this year? Yes, but Tennessee has an easier schedule than Oklahoma does, so it's like, Tennessee might have a better record than Oklahoma, so they might finish higher in the standings, but you might still walk away and go, man, I was more impressed with what Oklahoma was able to do on the field at times than UT.
Could we not see Texas A&M rolling out an 8-4?
Yeah,
potentially a 7-5?
Yeah, they're permanently 8-4 until they prove otherwise, in my opinion.
All right, Molly, what do you say? Texas, Georgia, LSU, Bama. That's the top 4 according to the USA Today network of writers for the Southeastern Conference.
Obviously, I know it's middle of July, and we still, have some talking season left, I guess, before the actual season starts. But I don't know. Maybe this is just me, and, everybody kind of wants to base their answers a little bit off of last year, too. But Texas and Georgia just kind of feels like the cop-out answer for the SEC championship this year. And, again, that's just totally my opinion. Now, where did you say Florida was?
Florida was 9.
See, Florida, that feels too low for me, for Florida.
To, like, they should be closer to 5 or closer to
15.
Closer to 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying they should be top 5, but that just feels too low for me.
Okay. All right. What about Auburn at 11?
I mean, maybe a little higher. I'd probably have them in the top 10, but I don't know if I would have them, like I said, top 5.
Okay.
Well, and look at the teams that are ahead of Auburn. They're going to play Georgia. They're going to play Alabama. They're going to play Texas A&M, and they're going to play Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So a lot of the outcomes of those games and some of the other teams, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between Ole Miss at 6 and Auburn at 11. I really don't. But that's why I think that this is going to be another fun season of SEC football. I don't think there's a clear-cut number one. The expectation is Alabama. Alabama, I do believe, will be better. Their record will be better this
I'm
season.
not going to be surprised if it's a lot like last year where it felt like we had, a handful of teams that all went 9-3.
I want to buy into LSU. I really do.
I'm not giving it away because he's going to be on the show tomorrow. Because Brett Norsworthy, he was asking my opinion. This was about 3 weeks ago. I think I mentioned it on the show. Brett goes, and just like Dave Shoemate earlier on the show, he goes week by week, and he works every schedule out. And at least a couple weeks ago, he was putting his list together for the season, and he goes very detailed when he comes on the show. Remember that a couple years ago, he gave us like a 4 or 5 level what's going to happen in the college football playoff, and it was wild what was going to happen. It didn't come to fruition, but at least he A for effort.
Yeah.
He, unless he changed it, I don't know if he's got a team winning 10 games in the SEC this year.
Oh, wow.
Like he has got a cluster of teams at 9-3, and then a bunch of 8-4 teams. So he believes that this conference this year is going to eat itself alive.
Well, and think about some of the non-conference games that the teams at the top they're going to have. With Texas, you take on Ohio State. So let's just say you lose that game.
Yeah.
You see Texas going
Lose at
6-2 in this league.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah, they lose at Georgia and they lose somewhere else. They're not supposed to. So we will continue as we are wrapping up day 2 of SEC Football Media Days live from Digital Row here at the College Football Hall of Fame on Jox. few more minutes to go. Day 2, SEC Football Media Days. It's been a great day. If you missed any of the interviews from Mac and Cube or us at Three-Man Front, we had Jason Caldwell, Tyler McComas, Mike Griffith, Dave Shoemate, Ty Richardson. Tomorrow, some of our guests that you will hear on this radio station, Billy Lucci from Tex Ags. He's going to stop by. Trey Wallace, Brett Norsworthy.
We had a cameo of Brett today. Look at him.
Yeah, I know.
You think he's making a point to show us that he washed his hands when he walked out of the restroom?
There's our good friend Nathan King from Auburn Undercover.
Is that Nathan?
That's Nathan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never seen him in person.
Yep, there he is, live and well.
I had neither. I had no idea.
That's him. We were just talking about the USA Today Network, the preseason SEC poll that they came out with. And I mentioned the fact that they've got Texas winning the SEC, defeating Georgia just a block up the way at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They've also named the SEC Coach of the Year, Steve Sarkisian, University of Texas.
Give me a break.
SEC Player of the Year,
Arch Manning.
Garrett Nussmeier.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay.
SEC Newcomer of the Year.
Ooh, John Mateer.
You got it.
Get this. Do some more.
Let's see
Just
here.
make up your own categories and come up with the answer.
How about the
Milkman of the Year?
Let's see here.
Corey.
You're going to love him.
There were 4 players that were named unanimous All-SEC selections. Who were they?
How many on offense and defense?
Let's see. 3 on offense, 1 on defense.
Garrett Nussmeier. Ryan Williams.
Caden Proctor.
I will
3
go,
on offense, 1 on defense.
Goodness gracious. Harold Perkins.
That was unanimous, according to the USA
and
Today
Lenora Sellers.
I bet the defensive player is going to be Anthony Hill from Texas. Offense, I'll go Proctor. That's tough. Ryan Williams and Arch Manning.
Have any guesses, Molly? This is tough. Oh, that's okay. You're busy. No, you're doing a million things. No, that's fine. The 4 players that was unanimous was Ryan Williams, Caden Proctor.
Bingo.
Texas linebacker Anthony Hill Jr., and Vanderbilt tight end Eli Stowers.
Okay. I'll take 3 or 4.
They were received all SEC accommodations according to USA Today Network.
Okay.
I'm sitting here looking at the Alabama players according to USA Today. I just mentioned Ryan Williams and Caden Proctor. Seeing if there was any other on offense. No. Defense for Alabama. Do not see any. Meanwhile, Auburn's lone representative in this USA Today preseason was Kendrick Faulk.
Yep. Well, that's the easy selection. He should be excellent.
Seeing a lot of folks from Texas and Georgia on the list, which makes sense because
they had them first and second.
The Riders had them first and second.
So I assume, because I forgot that you said they picked Garrett to win SEC Player of the Year. I assume he was the first team quarterback.
That is correct. Jaden Ott from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And Quintravian Wisner.
Yeah, Jaden Ott's really good when he's healthy.
Those are
not playing Auburn.
There's your 2 all-SEC running backs.
Well, they didn't need him last year.
Georgia's got the kicker and punter.
Hey, special teams, that's good.
Very much so. Coming up tomorrow on the show, we mentioned some of the folks that's going to be joining the program. We will hear from Alabama's Kalen DeBoer, Billy Napier, Mississippi State's Jeff Lebby, and Oklahoma's Brent Venables tomorrow.
What if DeBoer comes in a suit, but he goes like really nice designer T-shirt?
I hope he shows up in a tracksuit.
Like a European soccer fan.
That's
track
right.
suit.
Let's give them something to talk about.
People would talk about that.
Yeah, they would. No, Kalen DeBoer, I think that you will get what you expect That's a classy individual. and he'll
So
be saying
based
good
on
things.
McElroy's comments, are you worried that your job may be in jeopardy? Have you talked to Nick lately?
Don't you do it. Somebody's listening for the first time this week. Don't stir that up.
It's been a great 2 days so far here in Atlanta. We will continue our wall-to-wall coverage here on Jox tomorrow morning, bright and early from 6 until 7. You can hear Damian Mitchell and Conrad Van Order. Then Mac and Cube from 7 until 10. And then us at Three Man Front will be back with you from 10 until 2 p.m.
I just saw the corner of my eye. Okay, he's not. I was like, is
Are
he
you
Freeze
still
still
monitoring the
here?
bathroom?
Here, hand me the camera. Hand me the camera.
What?
For those that are still watching the show.
Are you giving them our view?
Yeah. This is all right. Do you see that? That is where we were watching Kirby Smart. If you see the arrow, that's pointed. That's a corridor that leads to the men's and ladies facilities.
With the big letters that say restrooms this way.
And since you haven't been able to see Conrad today, there's Conrad.
And my Yankees shirt.
Yeah, and his Yankees shirt.
Thank you.
Let's show them the rest of Digital Drive.
Yeah.
So show them Travis.
See, there's J.D. Piquel. He's right next door to us.
There's JD.
From On 3.
Yep.
All right.
Did you show him Travis Hunter?
There's Travis Hunter's jersey.
Well, it's the ghost of Travis Hunter. Just his jersey.
He's so quick, you can't see him.
That's right.
You see the wall of helmets.
Yep. There's the wall. By the way, I was wrong on my count yesterday. I didn't realize there was a gap.
What's the count?
It was 960 because I had the rows of 24 tall by 40 across, but I did not realize until this morning there's a big section that's cut out of those helmets.
Okay.
So I'm gonna lower it to 720.
Okay. So
wow, that's a big okay.
So if you're still watching us on YouTube as we're wrapping up the day, that kind of gives you behind the scenes look. I know the last 2 days you're only getting the front view of what's happening. There's Ben Portnoy right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a who's who.
That's right.
Yeah.
These people are like, what?
What are they doing?
What are they doing?
Why is that camera set up to the
Go say
bathroom?
something to Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
I meant like off
Welcome
the air,
to Three
Ben.
Man Front. Oh, no, it's way better to do it on the air. Way better
Hey, Ben.
on the air.
Wait, no, well,
Hey,
hold
Ben.
on, Ben. We'll talk to you just 1 second. All right, that's gonna do it for us today. We're gonna hope to catch up with Ben, but this is Three Man Front live from SEC Football Media Days. You can close it out.
Always fun, always a fun time hearing from Hugh Freeze. Any portion of the show, you can always find it there at the Three Man Front podcast at joxfm.com. And all of our interviews, including McElroy and Kublik, of course, Morning Jox, Conrad and Damian, and Three Man Front. Appreciate all of our guests today. It's going to be a fun show tomorrow. Kalen DeBoer, the Alabama Crimson Tide in the house. Special thanks to Molly Robinson from all of us here in Atlanta to all of you. God is great. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.